you wish to speak to any item on the agenda or during the public comment portion of the meeting, please fill out a speaker card. Each person addressing the board shall have 3 minutes to complete his or her comments on each agenda item for which he or she has filled out a card. The chair has the discretion to determine or alter the time limits on any agenda item. The Board of County Commissioners requests that speakers appearing under the public comment section of the agenda limit their comments or presentations to matters relating to county business that are within the board's control, authority, and jurisdiction.
I'll do this again after my little mistake there. Good morning to everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, October 22nd County Commission meeting. We appreciate you being here. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Dr. Buana Bostic, are you here to lead us in an invocation? If not, we're going to have Commissioner Rita Pritchett, if you would be so kind to lead us in prayer.
I'll be delighted. Father, we come to you today and we ask you for wisdom on this meeting, that we would do your will for the people that you love in this county and this community. Lord, I just pray right now that we would have good communication and that there would be a healthy spirit of conversation today as we do your will for the people you love. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Let's stand for the pledge, and Commissioner Goodson will lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Could I hear a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the August 27, 2024 regular meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, seconded by Commissioner Feltner. Any discussion? Any additions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carries. So we have a couple of resolutions this morning, and I will be calling up there you go. Dr. Joyce Taylor. Joyce, are you here? Mr. County Manager, is there anybody from the White Cane group here? What should we do?
Not that I'm aware of.
You want to table that till later in the meeting?
Yes, that would be great if you make that motion.
Motion to table it till later in the meeting,
When
Mr.
they
Chair.
show up. Thank you so much. Is there a second? Motion to table doesn't require anything other than motion and a second. So we're going to table that. Now let's go to a resolution on the appointment of the county historian, and that is Roz Foster. Roz, are you here? You can stay right there for a minute, and in a minute we're going to call you up. We appreciate you being here. Whereas Chapter 5838B provides for the appointment of a county historian by the Historical Commission, subject to the approval of the Board of County Commission, and whereas the Historical Commission by unanimous voter approval has declared the, okay. All right, let's just wait a minute until we get these lovely folks in the meeting. Whereas the Historical Commission by unanimous vote of approval has declared the Rosalie Roz Foster should be named Honorary County Historian, and whereas Roz Foster has resided in Brevard County for over 60 years, starting her work in historical preservation with research, documentation, mapping, and restoration of historic Lagrange Cemetery in 1996, and expanding her field of study after joining BCHC in 1998. Whereas Roz Foster has been a driving force in commemorating and safeguarding our heritage for over 28 years. Through her leadership, several historic structures, including the Pritchard House in Titusville and cemeteries in Brevard, have been preserved and restored, ensuring that our collective historical endures for generation and generation. Whereas Roz Foster has enriched the residents of Brevard County with a plethora of historical insights through her extensive collection of published articles and plays. Additionally, the found of the North Brevard Heritage Foundation by Ms. Foster stands as a testament to her dedication to preserving and sharing the region's rich heritage. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioner that Brevard County appoints Roz Foster as the Honorary County History of Brevard County, Florida from this day forward. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Pritchett, seconded by Commissioner Feltner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The
Nay.
motion carries. The floor is yours, Roz. Come on up and say a few words.
This is still incorrect.
Thank you very much. I appreciate and feel very honored to receive this. And I really appreciate the support from the community and from the commission, who I've been for a long time. But the people of Brevard County, I really appreciate all the contributions that they have given to us. And for the commission and their Board of County Commissioners and their support through these years since 1996. And we're so happy that we were able to do the work that we did in a collaborative way with the commission, Brevard County Historic Commission, and many, many other people who are involved in historic preservation, including the Florida Trust that we work with, and a lot of other organizations. So thank you very much, and I feel very honored.
Roz, if you come over here, we'd like to present you a couple. Congratulations, Roz. Thank you so very much. Okay, we have our Dr. Joyce Taylor. Are you here? Yes, I am. Okay, just you can sit right there for a second, Joyce, and then we're going to talk about this resolution honoring your White Cane group. Whereas the White Cane, which every blind citizen of Brevard County, Florida, has the right to carry, demonstrates and symbolizes the ability to achieve a full and independent life, to capacity to work productively in competitive employment. And whereas the White Cane, by allowing every blind person to move freely and safely from place to place, makes it possible for the blind to fully appreciate and contribute to our society and to the lives of others. Whereas every citizen should be aware that the law requires that motorists and cyclists exercise appropriate caution when approaching a blind person carrying a white cane. And whereas Brevard County calls upon employers, both public and private, to be aware and to utilize the skills of our blind citizens by recognizing their worth as individuals and their productive capacity by expanding employment opportunities for the blind people in competitive labor market. Whereas Brevard County, through its public agency and with the cooperation assistance of the National Federation of the Blind, will work to ensure blind citizens of Brevard and part of our community's socioeconomic fabric. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County does hereby proclaim October 15th, 2024 as White Cane Awareness Day. And do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve by Commissioner Feltner. Second. And there's a Commissioner Goodson seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. Now, Dr. Joyce Taylor, can we, Officer, would you be kind enough to see if you can get her up here to the podium for us, please? Thank you so much for your kindness. I appreciate that, sir. Joyce, we have a police officer bringing you up, okay?
Thank you so much. Way to go, girl.
Now, the only thing is I want well, this is my last meeting, so it's not going to do me any good. I was going to say I want one of those white canes so I can hit somebody that votes the wrong way.
They weren't designed for
All
that.
right, thank you. Joyce, go ahead. The floor is yours. There's a microphone right here. Feel it off.
Right
It's a little
here?
to your right.
Good morning, everyone.
There you go. Very
God bless
good.
you
Thank you.
all. My name is Dr. Joyce Taylor, and I am the president of the National Federation of the Blind, the Melbourne Space Coast chapter. And here I have on my, Camille Tate is here, past president, and on my left here is my newly elected vice president, Maria Rigliosi, along with the rest of the members of our chapter. We are so honored and privileged to be here today to receive this proclamation, and we want to thank you, Commissioner Steele and Danielle Stern, and all of those that work so hard to make sure that we get this proclamation today. We thank you, thank you, thank you, and we are committed to doing the work. It is White Cane Awareness Month, White Cane Safety Awareness Month, and we just want to live the lives that we feel we deserve to live. There's 11,000 plus blind people and visually impaired in Brevard County alone. So we just want to be seen and heard and recognized, and we thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. Doctor, if you would go back over here, I think, Don, maybe we can walk over there instead of moving everybody here, and we'll present the plaque over there by the, where they're sitting. I think it'd be a little bit easier. Thank you. Okay, you can continue standing, Doctor, and we'll, if we can get your other folks to stand up. Do that. Everybody good? All right. I'm going to get here in the middle, and I'm going to get a picture of everybody. You got us all in? Yes, sir. Or do you need to move up? Okay, that's great. Yeah. Macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese. There you go. I still want one of those canes. Okay, let's move on if we can, please. The consent agenda. Is there items on the consent agenda that anybody in the, you got cards. I got cards, but I wanted to ask first if anybody here on the agenda want to pull and discuss? You want to wait just a minute or what? Officer, thank you so very much, sir. We appreciate that more than you know. All right. Oh, what a surprise. Sandra Sullivan. Okay.
That one's only if it's going to be pulled.
That is on which item?
F3.
All right. Anybody on the board have any comments on F3? If not, Sandra, you're, Ms. Sullivan, you have the floor.
Good morning. How are you today? Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. Which one is this one? There's a couple of them.
Sullivan, our clock isn't working. Someone put it on here, okay? So I'll let you know.
Okay, the first one regarding F4, approval of transportation impact fee.
I believe we're on F3.
So this is roughly $500,000 for a sidewalk in Satellite Beach on Jackson Avenue. The problem with this is the TPO did a study for South Patrick Shores. We have no sidewalk on the west side of A1A. Our kids have to go to school. The highest number of accidents and fatalities are the crossing from the west side of A1A to the east side of A1A to the west side, because our kids have to cross busy A1A twice to get to school. Jackson has a sidewalk already. We don't have a sidewalk in unincorporated South Patrick Shores. We seem to be, excuse my language, the hind tit of the county. You don't prioritize us. The TPO did a study, they identified we need a sidewalk there, and yet you're giving, again, more money to Satellite Beach and not to the unincorporated area, and it just has bad optics. They got bus shelters. Like 4 years ago, we were promised, oh, we'll give you bus shelters too when you get sidewalks. They were prioritized for sidewalks at that time. We're still waiting. This is the safety of our kids. So that's F4. Moving on to F8, which is a resolution for update. Oh, wait a second. Never mind. Which one was the other one? I filled out 2 cards.
I'll let it go through.
Okay, so the appointments for North Brevard County Hospital District Board members and
You're commenting on F20 now?
Excuse me?
You're commenting on F20?
On F20 and F21.
Okay, thank you so much.
So
Go
these
ahead.
are appointments being done by the District 1 Commissioner for appointments in the next fiscal year. She terms out. She's gone. And 2 more meetings after this one. The next commissioners who is elected, that's their decision to decide who gets appointed. This has bad optics. Here she is, still trying to control her district and who gets in there. And that's all I'll say on that one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Motion to approve agenda, sir.
All right, there's a motion from Commissioner Pritchett to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Tobias. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so very much. All right, moving on. All right. We have Reverend J.B. Dennis on public comment.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here to speak on the subject of when injustice become law, but there's another issue I need to put out here first. The entire staff of waste management need to be terminated. I need for Ms. Pritchett and the county manager to write this address down, 3709 Woods Circle. The residents there have asked for 3.5 months for them to pick up the trash in front of the house. There are 4 garbage cans over there that has maggots coming out, and it makes our community look bad. I also been over there 3 times with no action and talked with Mr. Rodriguez, who is supposed to be the foreman over there. But the entire staff need to be terminated, especially Christy, too. Her job is to make sure complaints are thrown out the door. When injustice becomes law, it's time for the decent and godly people to resist a biased government. It should not be a crime for the poor and less fortunate class of people that are homeless. Injustice applies to any act that involves unfairness to another, a violation of one's First Amendment right, 8th Amendment right, and especially one's 14th Amendment right. Poor and homeless people have been classed as low class. The #1 reason for the homelessness is there is not enough low rental housing. When a county spends decades conducting business for a profit, such as wasting $775,000 on a lighthouse, they need to take a picture of that lighthouse and put it in the history book and take $775,000 and get the 1,100 people off our streets in Brevard County. It's long overdue that you done turned your backs on the less fortunate. The bill homeless shelters are set up tent cities under HB 1365. It is an unjust law. To put poor people in jail for trying to find a safe place to sleep is inhumane. Will the county put poor people over profits over and over again as they've been doing for decades? The crisis will, over the homeless crisis, by approving sites to end the homeless crisis, injustice has become law. Under HB 1365, when will this board of commissioners realize it's your duty to resist bias and injustice? Thomas Jefferson quoted, "If a law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he is obligated to do so." Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Christina Fleming. Christina, aren't you with the fire department?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I thought so. Welcome.
You're welcome.
Here you go.
All right. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Christina Fleming. I'm a retired Brevard County firefighter living in District 3. I come before you today to give you some insight of your fire department's going on. As of today, this morning, you have now lost 85 firefighters, and that includes firefighter paramedics. You need at least 112 for each shift, unless you're hoping they take overtime, forcing them to take overtime, or even worse, starting to brown out units and stations. You need to pay your fire department at least the standard as surrounding counties that you picked as comparables. You had a 13-year employee who just quit. He is hired somewhere else. He took with him 13 years of experience where he knows his run area frontwards and backwards. He can get to any call quicker than anybody else in the county because he knows his area. Now you have a new hire who doesn't know the area, who now has to learn that. He has to learn, and that takes time. If you go to our fleet, we have no backup units available. It looks like a junkyard out there. There is... I'm so aggravated. There is trucks. Engine 44 was in a backup engine. The pump failed on a structure fire. There are no more backups. Engine 49 is a brand new unit being used as a backup. As you well know, months ago, it broke 48 hours in being used. I don't know if you see this as a problem, but I do. Because my friends and family work for the fire department. They are firefighters, and their safety is compromised. You're also having an issue with your CAD system, with your IT section. The people in the field are calling IT for Brevard County, and they're being told it's BCSO's problem. BCSO is coming back to them and saying, nope, it's BCFR's problem. Then they call back to BCFR and goes, nope, it's BCSO. Then they call back and the BCSO goes, nope, it's your problem. There's a guy named Mike. Well, Mike is out sick. There's no voicemail for him, no nothing, there's no backup. So our computer systems stay failed. How can you write our reports? We are required by law to write our reports 24 hours within that shift. How can we do that if our computers are not working properly and there's no one there to fix it? You're also moving a commissioner's secretary for $91,000. You're moving her over to staffing for the fire department for $70,000. Yay, it's a savings. She doesn't know anything about staffing a fire department, nor can she know how to move things over and about so that the proper units are properly staffed. I'm just severely disappointed. Just disappointed.
Thank you for the applause, but from this point forward, if you'd be kind enough not to make applause and react to the speakers, it would be very much appreciative. And we'll get through the meeting a lot faster, but I understand why you applauded her. All right, let's go to the next one if we'd be so kind, and that is Mohammed Fruth. Can you see that better than me?
Maybe Mathman?
Aha, there you go, that's you.
My handwriting is horrible.
No, that's all right, you
And
should
I'm
be a
going into the
you
wrong
should
field.
be a doctor, there you go. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Pritchard. I wanted to thank all of the term-limited Brevard County commissioners for their service to the community. As a civics educator, I know it's important to be active in your community and see where things are going wrong and try to fix them. So thank you for your services.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. All right. Any more cards we have on this? For the later, or should we do it now? What do you want? Oh, there's, didn't we have Sandra Sullivan up already under pub? Okay, go ahead. Sandra Sullivan, please. Sorry about that.
Sandra Sullivan, so did you miss me for the last 3 meetings? So it's kind of interesting on AI now, I think, because the chair has called me Commissioner Sullivan 4 times, that the search engines now think I'm a commissioner. A little humor to start the day. In the words of Abraham Lincoln, to honor the soldiers that sacrificed their lives for our freedom in order that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth, were spoken at Gettysburg. The phrase, we the people, in the preamble of the United States Constitution signifies that the government's authority derives from the consent of the governed. It emphasizes that the people collectively are the source of the power and the legitimacy for the government, which depends on the will of the people. And I think you've forgotten that. You have forgotten whom you represent, we the people. Instead, you think you represent the we the money special interests. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. That's the problem with this commission. You have no shame. 3 of you have 3 meetings left. Leave on a good note. Pritchett and Tobiah, you will reap what you sow and lost your elections and your reputation. Pritchett with only 15% of the vote. You forgot who you represent. The people did not forget. Tobiah is disgraced and should resign. Based on the Florida Today article and the findings of the Valencia report, our attorney should have this investigated, which he refused previously, and he should be looked into whether this should be prosecuted and forfeit his FRS pension. And that's right here. You can read about it. It seems to rise to that level. The county manager should work with the state attorney's office and investigate to the extent to determine whether Tobiah should be prosecuted. I am very disgusted with this commission, from the salary referendum, which is on the agenda, which was snuck in September of 2022 under consent, when there was an item, a public hearing on that section on a related issue. This was not publicly noticed, and this was not a public hearing for a referendum. Florida Today missed it. They did the story on the public hearing. I don't even think it's legal, and that's the kind of stuff we're looking at. That salary increase for you guys for $42,000 is almost as much as an entry-level firefighter.
All right, please stop. I don't want to have to say it again. I'm trying to be kind about this, but we can't have that. There's the quorum rules and regulations, and one of them is that you shouldn't applaud or things of that nature. So, Victor Watson, are you here? Hey, Victor, come on up.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for having me. My name is Victor Watson. My address is 3490 North US 1, Cocoa, Florida. I'm here tonight representing Islands International Group, this morning rather, which is currently operating at the Tyco Airport in Merritt Island. The company has a lease with Tyco and has been there for 16 years. It operates the fixed base operation, provides aviation fuel, but more importantly, it runs a flight school, a very successful flight school. The school has over 70 employees. It has over 200 students. It's operated well all these years. These students buy food, they pay rent, they have local landlords. It's a credit to the community. It has a very large economic impact for Brevard County, something that you all work to bring in. And I know you are also fiscally responsible, which I will get to in a minute. This vibrant local business is being killed and forced to close its doors in less than 2 weeks. This is due to a lease dispute between the airport authority and my client. There has been, I will admit, a judgment of eviction that was entered by the county court judge. However, that matter is on appeal, should be on appeal for, 6 months or so. If this business is killed, it cannot come back. The students, many of them are foreign students, they would have to go back to their home countries. They would have to apply for an entirely different visa if they have to go to another school. And that could take quite some time. We have a buyer, he's a potential buyer, he's a Tuskegee Airman, and he wants to he wants to continue this business and expand it, probably move over to the main airport in Titusville, which is also something that the Tyco board would like. But he can't do it if this business is killed. The only issue that has been decided is this matter of eviction and possession. The matter of damages will be for the future. Again, this is a $15 million a year business. It's got a large value. If the board is wrong in what it's done, if they have improperly evicted my client, we will have a counterclaim for damages, which could be $15 to $20 million, which is obviously significant. We're asking this board to use its influence to request the Tyco Airport Authority to simply not take action until the appeal is over. That way, they'll know.
Your time's up, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. Morris, do you have any comments in regards to this?
Initially, the Titusville Cocoa Airport is an independent special district with appointees made by the board, but also appointments from municipalities. And this is a matter that's in litigation. I could look into it, but this isn't something that the board has direct authority over to take action on and, usurp the judgment of the Tyco board.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate
But
your
I'd be happy to talk to Mr. Watson about it offline.
Thank
you. If you could, you do have influence over the board, and we would just ask that you ask them to do the fiscally responsible
I think Morris
thing.
has already said he'd be more than happy to talk to you, and we appreciate your
Thank you,
comments,
Morris.
sir.
I'll be with you.
Commissioner Goodson, you have a question?
For him.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Watson, Vic.
Commissioner Goodson has a question.
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
How much are you past due, or how much?
We're not past due. We
your
have paid.
current? So you
We
just-
were given a written demand twice. The first demand, they immediately paid $255,000 of the amount that was in dispute on top of their regular rent that was being paid. There was a second demand. I think they paid another $15,000. Every time there was a demand made, it was paid immediately. The problem was that there was a dispute over the increase in rent because of the fact that they did an improper appraisal that was in dispute. We said, we'll work with you, we'll pay, we'll do this, we'll hold money in escrow. We'll follow the rules, follow the lease. The two appraisers should hire a third appraiser. Let's get this done. Then it went to another matter that was very important. Then it went to a dispute over a taxi lane that was taken by Tyco to give to another tenant. Various things. And the whole time, I was dealing with the airport authority attorney saying, we'll work with you. Last communication, the last email from him was saying, we can work all this out. Next thing, we're served with an eviction suit. It did not appear that this was approved in a public meeting. There was no additional written notice. There was simply a lawsuit. The lease requires that they give 10 days notice if for failure to pay rent. They should have said that you owe another $25,000 or whatever it was, and we could pay that, and this would all have been avoided. They did not give the notice. They simply filed suit. That's one of the matters on appeal.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your answers. Thank you, Commissioner Goodson. Did you have a comment, Morris?
No, sir. Just give me a call, Vic. And
Okay.
we'll talk
Thank
about
you.
it.
All right, let's go to public hearings on agenda item H1, ordinance regarding modification to the structure of Save Our Indian River Lagoon Citizens Oversight Committee. And our very wonderful director, Virginia Barker, will you please take the floor?
Good morning, Commissioners. On August 27th, the board approved legislative intent and permission to advertise these changes to the ordinance that controls the structure of the Save Our Indian River Lagoon Citizen Oversight Committee. These changes would create a lane for residents whose incomes are tied to the health of the lagoon and who experience changing conditions out on the lagoon daily to have a voice on the Citizen Oversight Committee. This lane would be called Lagoon Commerce, and it would be created by combining two existing lanes, the education and outreach field with the lagoon advocacy field of expertise. Additionally, the ordinance creates two non-voting emeritus positions, one to be named by the League of Cities and one to be appointed by the County Commission. And then the ordinance also cleans up some terminology to match current language.
Okay, is there any questions from the board? Hearing no question from the board, do I hear a motion, please?
Motion to approve?
Commissioner Pritchett moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Tobias seconds. Any more discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you. All right, H2, permission to participate and accept the U.S. Department of Justice Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Local. And who is handling this? Is it going to be you, Frank, or?
Do we?
All right,
We've
we
discussed
don't really
this
need
before.
anything to do.
I'll
I
make a
guess.
motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve
Second.
and seconded by Commissioner Pritchett. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. Adoption of amendments to Chapter 62, Article 2, Division 3, Planning and Zoning Board, Brevard County Code of Ordinances, specifically amending Section 62-182, membership, appointment, and term of members, Section 62-184, officer rules of procedure, quorum, Section 62-185, records, regular and special meetings, and repealing reservations, Section 62-183, and alternate members. Who's got that, Billy?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is, as you mentioned, these are amendments to the code regarding the structure of the Planning and Zoning Board. Primarily, this would allow the board's alternate members to become, the 5 alternate members to become full voting members. It also fixes some Scrivener's errors and the like. And at the board's direction at its prior meeting, this brings the structure into compliance with and the minimum requirements of Florida statute and our interlocal agreements.
All right, is there any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Tobias moves to approve. Okay. I missed you? That is such a...
No, I was, forgot this one.
So I didn't miss you and you
No,
just...
you
okay.
did good. Okay, so on
Wait a
this one.
second, I want to hear that one more time. I'm good? Is that what you said? I just want to make sure
Yeah,
I
take
heard that
moment.
correctly.
So Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. So on this one, what it's effectively doing, just for the benefit of everyone that's here, because it's not being said, what this is doing is watering down the board and adding more members to make it easier to put very controversial things through. I just want to be clear what this county commission is doing. You have a new commission, 3 new commissioners coming on in a few weeks. The fact that you're just pushing this stuff through, it's just really, really bad optics to load a board to make it difficult. We have, this is so unnecessary. That's enough.
Thank you so much. All right, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Tobias, seconded by
Mr. Pritchett?
Commissioner Pritchett. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carries. All right, let's go to H4, petition to vacate public rights-of-way on 21st Street and West 4th Avenue, Sun Valley, PB 11, page 29, Titusville, Dirschka Family Revocable Trust, District 1. You got that, Mark? Is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, take it away.
Well, as you just mentioned, it's a petition to vacate, requesting the vacation of a portion of 2 public rights-of-way. Also includes the dedicated drainage and access easement to Brevard County for 25 feet on 21st Street in exchange. No issues.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Commissioner Pritchett. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Feltner seconds. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, H5, petition to vacate public utilities, 934th, 30th First Street, Barefoot Bay Mobile Home Subdivision, Unit 2, Part 11, PB 22, page 116. Barefoot Bay, Justo, Pena, District 3 is our commission here. Who's got this one, John or Mark? You have it?
I do.
Okay, so go ahead.
This is a petition to vacate public utility easements on 931st Street. This is for Justo Pena. This is vacating part of 2 public utility easements, and it's 2 6-foot wide public utility easements to
Whatever
allow
you
for
want,
the
buddy.
connection of a garage with a breezeway connection to an existing home. There's no issues.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Mr.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Tobias, seconded by Commissioner Pritchett. Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Going on to H6. First public hearing amendments to Chapter 62, Article 6, zoning regulations to add a new conditional use classification, accessory dwelling units, and specifying conditions thereto. Billy, this is yours, but I think there's going to be a motion to amend after you read, if you don't mind, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This would allow accessory dwelling units as a conditional use, which would require a public hearing for each one going forward in each single-family zoning district, as well as the rural residential zoning district. And then specifying certain conditions to allow for privacy among neighbors, environmental protections, and the like.
Okay. Commissioner Feltner, floor is yours.
I have an amendment. I guess we go the amendment first, and
Let's go,
then
let's go with the amendment first, and then we'll put them
If you
together.
agree-
and
If
do
you
it.
agree to it, then we'll be back on the item. So the short of the amendment that I have today says that once you've added the accessory dwelling structure, you can't split the parcel. So not as a means to build one of these things and then split the parcel and sell them individually. So I'll read the motion. It probably doesn't sound like that because it's got legalese in there. Okay?
Go ahead, sir, go ahead.
All right.
Floor is yours.
If a lot containing an accessory dwelling unit is split so that the principal structure and the accessory dwelling unit are no longer located on the same lot, then the accessory dwelling unit will violate the code's prohibition against accessory structures with no associated principal structure. The accessory dwelling unit cannot itself be considered a principal structure unless the required conditional use permit is removed by the board, irrespective of whether the accessory dwelling unit otherwise meets the requirements for a principal structure under this chapter.
You want to explain that in clear, plain language?
Well, that's why I did that at the beginning. I figured as much. So very simply, and Billy could help me here, I think, with questions. But the short of it is, you can't build the accessory dwelling unit and then split the parcel and sell them separately. Does that sound right, Billy?
Yes, sir. So right now, these would be built as accessory structures. What this would do, and the conditional use permit would be attached to that permitting process. This would not allow that structure to be used for any purpose. And you can't, if you split a lot, you have to have a primary structure with the accessory structure. And this would not allow you to convert this accessory structure into a primary structure.
All right, well said. Now, Tad, Billy, Planning Department, you guys cool with this? You got a problem with it? All right, then go ahead and make your motion, sir. Commissioner Tobias, sorry.
Just a question for the sponsor. I'm sorry I didn't see this. Some of these are large part. Some of these classifications are large. I mean, could be up to 20 or 30 acres. So I mean, I understand the issue with it being on a 1 acre parcel or something like that. But if we're talking, some of these ag ones could be a huge parcel. If they put explain how that would work in the same vein.
I'm happy to. I would only say, I don't know why if you had a 30-acre parcel, you wouldn't peel off an acre, say, to give to your kids so that they could build their house, and then you have 2 deeds. So I think, for the purpose of homestead, other things like that, the accessory dwelling structure would be included in that. So I don't know why you would need that to be included in this way, and then later on you might peel that off. I don't see why you wouldn't do that first.
You don't see a difference, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
You don't see a difference in a accessory dwelling unit that on a half-acre parcel or acre parcel that's within eye shot, but on a 20-acre parcel, that accessory dwelling unit could.
I do. I see where you're going. I do, but I think it's single-family residential zoning is what we're talking about. So unlikely that you would have 30-acre parcel that's zoned that way.
There's ag, there's AU, ag. There's some on here. Mr. Chair, can I?
Yeah, absolutely. The floor is yours.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Commissioner Tobias, it's difficult within the code to capture, and you make a great point, but it's difficult to capture every scenario like that. As I understand the proposed amendment, it would not prevent entirely the future splitting of this. It would just require a consideration under the conditional use permit that's already been issued. So the board could decide this property is appropriate to split it based on considerations like the size of the property and things of that nature. It doesn't prohibit it entirely. It just, it says we have to make a judgment about whether it's appropriate in this case.
In addition to that, the owner of the property can always replat prior to the time that they do this, and that way they'd put themselves in a whole different position. All right, so there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Goodson.
We're just on the motion, on the amendment, so we'll be back on the item. That's
Right.
my understanding, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Hold on 1 second, please. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now, we do have a card. Sandra Sullivan, please.
Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. So per state statute, you're not allowed to take a vote before you hear from public comment. So you just violated state law.
Ma'am, that was an amendment. That wasn't the motion, so you're incorrect.
Okay. That is also amendment to Chapter 62. So anyway, I just want to say pertaining to this that between the changing of zoning to PUD in neighborhoods that don't have short-term rentals, this appears to me to be another loophole for short-term rentals. So unless you put in this amendment that these accessory structures are prohibited from short-term rentals in communities that do not allow short-term rentals. For example, I live in unincorporated South Patrick Shores. Our short-term rentals are on the east side, except for if there's a duplex or if you live in the structure and you're renting a room for short-term rental or something like that. But what this is essentially going to do, and I believe this is your intent, is to turn our communities and further short-term rentals. This has nothing to do with what the agenda item says, that this is for affordable housing. No, it's not. This is a loophole for short-term rentals, and I just want we the people to understand what this board is doing, because you're not going to make an amendment to this to prohibit these accessory structures from being short-term rental units in our communities. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead,
I'm
but
sorry.
this is all legal stuff that we don't really need to worry about.
That issue,
Commissioner
I've worked with staff to flush that issue out. I was very vocal about that leading up to this meeting. I think Billy could explain possibly more that short-term rentals are not allowed in these zoning classifications where the single-family residents are. So we also have a preemption from the state, so perhaps you could clarify that for us.
Generally speaking, that is correct. So we did not include ADUs in multifamily classifications, and that is the only place other than commercial uses where you'll find resort dwellings as a permitted use. So in no case are ADUs allowed in any zoning class where resort dwellings are a permitted use. In those cases where they're a conditional use, the board would have to approve both uses for the same property.
Thanks, Billy. Is there any more discussion? Hearing no discussion, to have a motion, please,
Make the motion to approve the item with the approved
with the amendment.
change.
Yes. It's a motion to approve with the amendment by Commissioner Feltner. Donna, do you have all of that? Do you have what you need there? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Goodson, any more discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. All right, let's go on to unfinished business. The methodology to evaluate the benefit of each selected eel property to the Indian River Lagoon and St. Johns River. Mary Ellen, how are you? Are you taking this one?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Mary Ellen Donner, Parks and Recreation Department Director, with Michael Knight, Eel Program Manager. At the February 2024 meeting, where the board approved a $3 million bond issue for land acquisition, the board actually asked that we come back and identify a process for evaluating the amount of nitrogen each potential parcel could affect the Indian River Lagoon. Thank you very much to Natural Resources. Mike and they worked and created a rubric that is on page 2 of your agenda. And we are looking for your approval for future land purchases that will come back to the board that would use this rubric.
Any questions? Hearing no questions, I hear a motion.
Motion approved.
Commissioner Tobias moves to approve. Is there a second by Commissioner Pritchett?
Yes, sir.
Second by Commissioner Pritchett. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carries. All right. Now, Morris, is this the Traska issue coming up next? 1.2?
I-2 is a resolution regarding the referendum election for unpaved roads in Canaveral Groves. That's the district.
Okay,
one
where is the
Commissioner
Traska? That's J1?
That would be the
All right,
immediate
that's
next
next
item.
after this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. All right, who's handling this?
I will.
All right, Commissioner Pritchett, please.
Yes, we had worked, well, Keith worked very hard of trying to put together what would be a aggregate MSBU for the community, and I don't believe the community's going to pass it. There's a lot of confusion with it. We were trying to find a way, if they wanted the roads paved, to get it paved, so I'm not real sure that they're all there yet, because we heard from a lot of people who really don't want their roads paved yet. So I'm going to go ahead and poll this. This was actually like a straw poll thing. So the next commission, you guys would have to come along and figure out what to do with it moving forward. So I think it's probably cleaner just to poll it. And then if this community still wants to get roads paved, they can still do an MSBU under the future. We've got one we're working on right now. We'll see if we get that done. But I would just like to make a motion to go ahead and pull this off of the ballot. I don't think we can, but we're going to send out letters letting people know that.
So it will still, it's already on the printed ballot.
Yeah.
Voting has begun, but if this is passed, my understanding from Supervisor of Elections is that they will post notice at there's one affected polling place for the general election.
Yeah.
At the early voting sites, and then to the extent possible, and when last I spoke to him, it was before this was supposed to be heard at our canceled meeting because of the hurricane. I know he had intended at that time to mail notice to those voters, probably less than 100, who had received this item on their mail ballot. I do not know whether that component will still happen, but notice will be posted, and the votes just wouldn't be counted for this particular election.
Okay. Appreciate all your help, sir. You and your staff have done so much work, and of course, Keith, the D1 staff, and the Supervisor of Elections been very kind to helping putting this together, too. So thank you, everybody, and
You're moving the table in, is that correct?
I'm moving to, how do I just vote to remove it, or? Move to cancel?
Cancel the previous called local referendum election.
Yes, Commissioners, I move to cancel what he just said.
Okay, then. Is there a second, Commissioner Felton? Commissioner Tobias, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. So all of the people that filled out cards, you're good.
Can we make a comment anyway?
No, ma'am? Let me just give you a little bit of advice in politics. When you win, you probably ought to just sit there.
But if
I think you have to let him talk.
If you'd like to talk, come on up. We'll be more than happy. Ma'am, that's fine. Come on up. If it's important to you to speak, come on up. We'll let you talk. Three.
Do you have a lot of cards on it?
We have 3 cards on it. I like your hat.
Hi. My name is Sharon, and I have owned property in Brevard County since 1956. I purchased land when I was 16 in the Brevard County, and I owned land in Canaveral Groves for 30 years. And I just want, if there is an election about the roads, I want the right to vote. And my husband and I he was military, lived in Canaveral Groves. He died, and I still live there. But I own the land for 30 years in Canaveral Groves. I've gone up and down the road probably 1,000 times, because in that 30 years, I had a horse out there, and I still have a horse out there. And I'll be paying approximately $8,000 in taxes this year on that property. And I do think I have a right to vote if there is a vote.
Thank you, ma'am. That was very nice.
That's all.
Would you like to comment also, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Okay, come on up.
Yep, yep.
If you'd help her back to her seat, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Would somebody?
All right. We have.
Thank you, sir.
We have 6 acres.
Yes, ma'am.
So, first of all, we don't want the road paved.
Okay.
Second of all, her property is 3 acres, but it's in one parcel. Mine is 3 separate parcels. So if and when this happens, that it's shoved down our throats, that the roads are paved, I will have to pay 3 separate impact fees because mine are 3 separate lots, and she'll have to pay 1. Or should I go ahead and try to put my 3 together so I would only have to pay 1?
I would suggest that you hire an attorney and figure that out after this thing is carried on in the future, and you can figure out whether or not it's going to be done.
Right.
You're putting the cart before the horse right now.
Well, it's, knowledge is power, and if you don't know, you don't.
We can't,
May I?
go
Okay.
ahead, Commissioner Pritchett.
Ma'am, and it would always be up to you with your vote. Even with this, you would have been the one voting on it. But even in the future, it'll still be totally up to you what to do. But I heard from a majority of you that don't want it paved. I've been hearing, this is 7 years, your neighbors call and say, pave our roads, pave our roads, pave our roads. So, but they didn't want to do an MSBU, so I threw this out there to see if y'all did want to pave it. But you don't, I'm guessing. So I think you're good for the long run here.
Because past roads getting paved have not had to pay. And now,
Commissioner Fitcher got a huge amount of millions of dollars, and he started paving some roads. Now, every other neighborhood that has the roads paved, they've paid for their own roads. It's in the cost of their house when the builders and the planners come in.
That's right.
You guys moved to an area that's dirt roads, so you've never paid to pave them. But he got a big landfall, and I thank him for this all the time because I've been getting yelled at for this for years from him paving those few roads because there's no more money to pave them. But I think you are safe moving forward into the future with keeping your dirt roads.
Goody.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'll make it really fast.
Go ahead.
Your 3 parcels, are
Yes.
they contiguous?
They're side by side, and the third lot faces a different road. My 2 lots
But they all touch each other?
They all touch each other.
If it were me, I would combine them for the purpose of homestead.
Combine
That's going to save you on your
the lots
taxes.
together to
I
save
just-
on the homestead.
You can talk to the property appraiser about that. She can explain it better.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Now, William, is William here? Does he want to speak on this? William Lamar? You good? You understand that you won, right? All right, thank you so much. Okay,
Was that the last card, Mr. Chair?
it is, I'm going to turn that over to you right now, sir.
I apologize, but may I ask, just to take a vote on that again? I didn't realize there were speaker cards, and the vote should follow the public input.
Okay,
Can I make a motion to decline the proposal?
To remove the
To remove
referendum from,
referendum
to
from
cancel
the-
the referendum.
all right.
Yes.
In abundance of caution, the county attorney has asked us to you're going to move your motion one more time?
Yes, sir, I make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second. No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Are we good now, Morris?
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank you. Got to keep us out of trouble, which I can get into very easily. All right, now, I got this. This is one that has been lingering for a long time with a lot of frustration. So I'm going to turn this over to our county attorney, who I believe would like to speak on this in the beginning. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir, thank you. And I'm just going to ask Space Coast Government Television, there's a presentation with this, just a short one with a couple pictures. But if I'm going to recommend to the board that I tee this up and explain a little of the background, and then I know the other party involved here, Mr. Traska, the property owner, has his legal counsel, Alicia Kelly, so I would suggest that Ms. Kelly be permitted some time to present, and then that you hear from the remainder of the public that you have cards on the item.
Absolutely, sir.
Right.
Carry
So
on.
this item regards a structure at a property located at 134 Diane Circle in an unincorporated beachside area north of N Atlantic and south to beachside Melbourne. Mr. Traska, who is the property owner at 134 Diane, applied for a permit to construct an accessory structure consisting of cargo containers, decommissioned containers. Our building department issued a permit for that structure, and admittedly, the permit was issued in error. It should not have issued because the request showed cargo containers stacked atop one another. That's specifically prohibited by code. Code does allow for a shipping container as an accessory structure, but it also expressly states they can't be stacked. Complaints came in, code investigated, it was found a mistake had been made. The county is not bound by an error like that when a permit is issued in error. Mr. Traska was cited for violations, including the stacking of the shipping containers, and also that as it was actually constructed in the field, it deviated from the plans that had been approved in error. Those violations went to a hearing before our Code Enforcement Special Magistrate Capps back in February of this year. Actually, I think the hearing was in December last year. Magistrate Capps issued an order in February 24. And while I do that, this depiction are the plans initially submitted and approved to the building department. It's hard to tell there, but the horizontal on the bottom is one cargo container, and then on top, there's another container stacked in a perpendicular fashion. Out in the field as it's actually constructed, they're atop one another in parallel, not perpendicular to one another. So those are photos that were introduced at the code hearing. The special magistrate found the structure to be in violation of the code, issued an order that the shipping containers be unstacked, and that Mr. Traska either obtain an approved revision to his building permit, essentially showing a single-story structure in full compliance with the code, or return the property to its configuration prior to construction by March 14 of 24. After that point, there would be a fine in the amount of $25 per day to be assessed beginning March 15. Shortly after the magistrate's order, Mr. Traska's attorneys invoked a procedure known as the Florida Land Use and Environmental Dispute Resolution Act, or FLUDRA. It's codified in Chapter 70 of the Florida statutes. It's intended to provide a means to resolve land use and environmental and enforcement disputes outside of litigation. It's a rarely utilized process, but when it's properly invoked, as it was in this case, it's mandatory for the local government, in this case the county, to participate in that process. Notably, invoking the process also tolls the time for the owners to do things like appeal from a code enforcement order. Pursuant to FLUDRA, there was a process with notification to parties. We had to hold a mediation/hearing facilitated by another special magistrate. James Stokes presided over that. We followed the statute. Staff, in good faith, along with Mr. Traska and his attorneys, worked to come up with a proposed tentative agreement in an effort to both recognize his property rights, but also to attempt to mitigate the possible impact of this on the neighborhood and other property owners. FLUDRA, again, is designed to come to that kind of conclusion, but I will say very clearly that the ultimate decision is entirely on the board. So while there is a tentative settlement agreement that staff and myself feel is the best that we could reach at the table that day to try to address neighboring concerns, this is no way binds the board that you have to accept this. You'll have three options at the end of this, which you could either accept the tentative agreement, you could direct modifications to the agreement, assuming that Mr. Traska agrees to those, or you could reject it entirely, in which case we would be back where we were prior to FLUDRA with a code magistrate order out there. They would have some extended time potentially to appeal if they wish to do that. I'll just hit some of the major points in the tentative settlement agreement. Obviously, all building code requirements would have to be met. Mr. Traska would have to submit updated plans showing the structure as it actually exists out in the field, which he's done. Architectural renderings were submitted showing how Mr. Traska intends to make this fit better into the neighborhood. I will say that in response to the renderings you see there, county staff did send out some requests to make it blend better within the existing neighborhood than what you see here, which is still very much on the industrial, modern side compared to existing neighborhood. There were prohibitions in the tentative agreement, such as it shall not be used for living quarters, as a rental, in whole or in part for any purpose, shall not contain a kitchen, shall not be occupied or used for any purpose other than storage after the hours of 10 p.m. and before 6 a.m., because neighbors had expressed concerns about short-term rental or parties being hosted there up on the deck. We'd also requested some landscape screening and buffering and things like that that are all set forth in the tentative settlement agreement that were part of the packet. So again, unless, Tad Calkins and Billy Prasad represented staff largely at the mediation along with our building official, again, you can accept the agreement, modify it, or reject it outright. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to try to address them now, or you can hear from Ms. Kelly and the public.
Let's go ahead and hear from Ms. Kelly. Ms. Kelly, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Alicia Kelly, 101 Park Place Boulevard, Kissimmee, Florida, 34741. As counsel for the property owner, Joe Traska, we believe the proposed settlement agreement y'all are considering this morning is an equitable resolution to the issue. I'm happy to address any questions the commission may have and would request the opportunity to address any public comments after any are made.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Million, you're up.
Sat down to him. Good morning.
Good morning, Al.
Commissioners. Thank you all for what you do. I don't know how you do it. I sure couldn't. I couldn't take it. It's the first one I've ever been to. But that being said, thank you, Mr. Steele, for probably 50, 60 years of service, right? I've lived here 70, and you've been in service all that time. Well, anyway, I live at 1852 Cato Court. I'm in a condo. I just that backs up to that, all right? I'm about, I don't know, from here to the wall, from my bedroom window. When I walk in our little condo, I walk into my bathroom, the window's wide open, that's what I see right there, 20 yards away. I think it's safe. My big concern is the value of all of our properties, and especially my new friends back here. That's why they wanted me to go first, because I think they've got a lot of ammunition. And by the way, you did a great job of presenting all that. But this new look is worse than the first look. But the first drawing, if you look at it, I mean, it looks like a nice little dollhouse or a playhouse with a picket fence almost. But now it looks like that. I didn't like it, but the county gave them a permit, and I went with it. Then I found out that it's a mistake. But this is a county problem. This is not y'all's problem. It's not his problem. It's that the county did this. I mean, they gave it to him by mistake. Then you look on the property appraiser thing, and it says it's 0.44 acres. Well, then we have it reappraised. Somebody did, and it's over half an acre. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, I don't like it. I know my neighbors don't like it. I want y'all all to think about it. If it was at your house, everybody paying attention to me? Look in your back window and look at that wall that they just put up there. You wouldn't like it. I mean, it's eye level to my bathroom is where it's at. It doesn't fit in that community. And the county screwed up. They absolutely screwed up on the whole deal. It's their fault, not your fault, not his fault. He probably fudged a little bit when he came in there with the other containers and said they were welded together and it made it one container. It's been called a playhouse for the kids, a man cave, a 21st century dwelling, which when I looked up dwelling, it means you live in it. I don't know what's going to live in it. But anyway, that's how I feel about it. But remember, I look at that every time I go to the restroom, and at my age, I go a lot. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Alina, you're up.
By the way, these nice people I just met about 2 weeks ago asked me to come over. They live in homes that's probably $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes, and they're looking in there. They're sitting.
Okay,
in their
Al.
I'm done.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good
Yes, ma'am.
morning. My name is Elena Stitsenko. I reside at 120 Waters Edge Lane in India Atlantic. I came here today to speak up against a proposed settlement related to the ongoing issue of this two-story container structure that is installed in the residential area of India Atlantic. You've seen it all, but also you can look at this again. The roof and the sides of this structure are still half open. I don't know if this is by design or unfinished, but this cannot be allowed to stay. My house is about 50 feet away, and I'm very concerned about additional risk that this property, that this structure would pose to my house, especially during the hurricane season. Nobody denies here that this is not up to the code, because Brevard County zoning rules are very explicit. No stacking of containers shall be allowed. But further, I want to say that before the Hurricane Milton came to Florida, there was a public notice on the City of Melbourne website, which stated, never ride out a hurricane in a mobile or manufactured home. Mobile and manufactured homes face the largest risk of damage from high winds. But I would also add, the risks are for those in the nearby properties, not just the structure itself. This is not even a mobile home. Do you think this would withstand the next Milton when it comes our way? And what if this is a direct hit and the windstorm is category 4 or 5? Do you want your home be next to this? If you don't allow this to be next to mine. And I understand that there are legal proceedings that bring additional points of discussion, such as erroneous permits, reliance on those permits, etc. However, those cannot be settled by cosmetic changes. Let's make it look better. Let's bring the more landscape around this. Are we trying to hide it? That would make the structure safer, isn't it? Any grievances between the county and the container owner should be resolved some ways other than imposing additional risk on the neighboring houses. As someone who lived in South Florida during Hurricane Andrew and multiple other ones, I'm deeply concerned about the situation, and I strongly disagree with the proposed settlement. So in conclusion, dear commissioners, I trust you make the right decision. Otherwise, you would leave a very bitter community behind. Do you want that to be your legacy? That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is it Bluma?
Oh, yes.
What is your name?
Bluma.
Ah, Bluma, I had it right.
Like a flower. I'm a flower.
You're a very pretty flower then. All right,
Thank you.
and I'm a blooming idiot. So that's all right. Let's go ahead.
Hello, my name is Bluma Bafford, and I reside at 110 Waters Edge Lane in India Atlantic. On picture 4, actually, you could see the back of my house. Every time I come out on my terrace, I see this just disgusting thing that I can't even imagine anybody would want on your property. I'm here today because with my neighbors, I want to resolve this issue once and for all with the storage containers. They were built illegally on the property at 134 Diane Circle. Our law allows 1 storage container per property for storage, nothing else. Okay? What's going on here, it's just, these containers cause a big threat to all of our neighbors' properties and also diminish the value of our property. I take care of my home, and I want to live peacefully there. As far as I'm concerned today, I can't live peacefully looking at this structure. These storage containers are not insurable. And during the serious hurricane, they could cause damage to our homes. Who's going to be responsible for it? I want to ask you, would you feel comfortable living next to it? Would you want to look at it every single day? I don't think so. Please, I know you issued this permit by mistake. Mistakes have been made. Okay, let's make it right. and today is the day to make it right. No settlements, please, no settlements. Just make it right, please. I'm counting on you as well as all of my neighbors. And I want to thank Mr. Richardson. Thank you for your attention, and for your attention, Mr. Steele. Thank you.
Mr. Snyder.
I'm going to let my wife go first.
We'll go first and then he'll follow.
Well, that's probably a smart idea.
We'll give him the last
I would
word.
definitely do the same thing if I were you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so my name is Michelle Snyder. I live directly next door. I live at 126 Diane Circle. And I just wanted to, I have additional copies if you guys want to look at it. I don't know if you're interested or not, but there are some additional photos I'd like to show. So it is 4 stacked shipping containers. They're 40-foot long. The way they're staggered, the entire length of the structure is 60 feet long. If you see here on this first picture, that little tiny fence is my property fence. This is not my property fence. This is. It is way too close to the property. It's 60 feet long. There is a question where the door is, the side door, which you can sort of see over here. You see the steps. There's a fence that is not shown. That is, I believe, with borderline, it is 7.5 feet. Maybe it's less. You can see through the fence that it's up on concrete blocks, and it's about 3 foot. You see the dark underneath here. It's too close to the fence, and then it goes all the way up. It's about 25 feet tall, less than 8 feet from my property line. I can see it from every room in the back of my house. Anytime I look out the window, there it is. And as I said, it's 60 feet long. I think 60 feet is probably from that wall to that wall, maybe. That's how big it is. It's not a cute little storage shed. The code says that you may use a single storage container for storage only, not for a man cave, an Airbnb, a playhouse, whatever he wants to call it. And he has a history of not sticking with the plan, okay? He was given an approved plan, an approved permit in error. He didn't stick to that. Now he's gone through all of this, the negotiations and the modifications that he came up with after the Fluidra. Now he wants to change that too. He wants to now be able to go in there between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So again, I'm tired of minding my neighbor's business. I just want to live my life. But what are you going to do when he's Airbnb-ing it, or when it's built on sand, concrete blocks on sand? When the sand shifts and it topples over, what then? I really feel that you should just reject it in entirety, and he should go through the process the same as every other citizen of the county has to do, not give preferential treatment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Bill, do you need to say anything, or?
Sure. Hello, my name is Bill Snyder. I also live at 126 Diane Circle, immediate adjacent neighbor. And I'd also like to say that the property values are going to decrease with this particular structure being built. It is extremely close to our side yard. We see it from every window in our back of our house. And currently there's 700 plus beachside homes for sale on Zillow right now. So if I put my house up for sale, what is to say that when they look at my house A versus my house option B, most likely you would probably go with option A and not have the distraction or the unsightly container structure. And I'm worried that through the decreasing value that if I do put my house up for sale, that I'll be less competitive in the buyer's market. Another thing, Brevard County, you did do a mistake. You issued the permit in process failure, and that does happen. But there has been a case where a permit that has been issued in error has been taken all the way up to the Florida Supreme Court. And they said that, yes, it was
in error, and we are going to stick that. Yes, it is an error, and you have to, it is a violation, and you have to deconstruct the structure. So it can go further than here, and it may have to. Another thing I would like to say is that the planning and zoning department reviewed the Dirschka's architectural renderings. The location of the two-story stacked container structure is close proximity to the side yard setback lines, does not fit the neighborhood scale, and presents a challenge to the urban community as well as the adjacent neighbor, myself, and the other adjacent neighbors. This tall structure would benefit from a modern interpretation of existing neighborhood vernacular in order to add animation and relief to adjacent property and soften the building of materials. Now, you've all read this before. I hope this is part of the fluoride report. Hopefully this is new verbiage that you haven't heard. You've probably done your homework on this. So moving right along, during the drafting and mediation agreement, they wanted to revise the uses for occupancy, which I'm strongly against. He wants to have access to the unit between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. If we see a light on at 1:30 at night, 5 in the morning, is someone staying overnight or someone just retrieving an item? I'm not here to police my neighbor. I'm not here to inspect. I don't expect code enforcement to go by and doing policing of the neighbor. I don't even expect you guys to go by and see if he actually built the kitchen or not after the fact.
Your time is up,
Okay.
sir.
Please, option 3 is what I recommend.
Sonia Snyder? Oh, that's me. Okay, is there another Snyder out there? No, it's just us. Okay, then. Alicia Kelly's already spoken. Let's see if there's anybody else, and then I'm going to give you some rebuttal time. Gwen? I'm getting ready to call you. Mr. Burley, is that you? Nope, that's me. Alan Green, is that you? Yes, sir. All right. Takes me a while, but I'll get there.
Morning.
Good morning.
My name is Paul Green. I've been here 63 years. It really seems to be, it's more like the taste, somebody doesn't like it. I rode horses on the beach here. We had no condos. I didn't like the condos on the beach. We built them anyway. There's condos that look worse than this. As far as some of the misconceptions, I'm the only one in Brevard County that's actually built homes out of shipping containers. Got one down in Palm Bay, got 12 of them down in Jupiter, 4 in West Palm. They are insurable. They're actually stronger than block homes. They surpass all building codes. They surpass all wind codes. So as far as it being moved by a hurricane, the lady's house is going to go before that shipping container is going to go. He did apply for a permit. Whether it was by mistake or not, it was issued. There's some variance in the law on whether the county can actually pull back a permit after it's issued unless it's in case of fraud. Probably that lawyers, but I would like to see it say, I built homes out of these. There'll be a lot more built in the county, 1-story, 2-story, and 3-story. That once it's being used for construction, it becomes a building material just like a piece of glass, where the metal frame becomes a window. But they are buildable. They do meet all the codes. They actually surpass the building codes for Florida. And they are insurable. And, whether you like the look of it or not, I don't like the look of condos on the beach. I want to go back to pine trees and horses, but we can't go backwards. And so I'd like to see it safe. I think the county made a mistake. He did what he was supposed to do, and I think we need to work it out.
Thank you, sir. Gwen Burley, have you spoken? Okay, not yet. Come on up.
Greetings. My name is Gwen Burley. I live at 155 Diane Circle. I am one house away from Mr. Traska. I want to follow up on a couple things that were spoken about already. Number one, as far as code goes, with the modern look of, this structure, we have 2 places that I can think of off the top of my head, basically in our neighborhood on the corner of Beach Street and A1A, and another one on Pine Tree Drive on the corner of Shell Avenue, which are completely box modern and unattractive. This will actually look much better when it's done. I want to speak about property values. So Mr. Townhouse is worried about his property value. The Snyders are worried about their property values. I'm going to say the townhouses are nothing special to look at. They're two-story. They look down on people's backyards, and nobody's worried about that. So I think the whole property value thing is, if you're up against multifamily and two-story townhouses, your property value is automatically going to be lower. As far as the people from Water's Edge, they have a different zoning than we have. So they are able to do vacation rentals there. They're not worried about their property values being devalued from that. I basically have a hotel against my backyard, and there's nothing I can do about it because that's legal. So I really don't think that they have any leg to stand on to complain about what's going on in our neighborhood. While I understand the Snyder's concerns, I believe that they should have stepped in much earlier. I think our neighborhood could have come up with an equitable, solution to present to you, but that didn't happen. We ended up with a media circus that was started by them. They trimmed every tree they had along the fence line between them and Mr. Traska, which just enhanced their view because they had a pretty private backyard before that. As far as the modifications that people are complaining about on this building, those were made because of third-party input that the county asked for. So he took the advice of a structural engineer, and the modification, I don't think even negates what he put in for the permit application. I mean, that's just a ridiculous small change that really doesn't change what he built. We're done.
Thank you. All right, we have one more card here, and then if you don't mind, Alicia, we're going to take a little small break because everybody's about ready to pop up here. Ronald Newsom. There you go.
Thank you for the chance to speak. My name is Ronald Henson, Henson. Yes. I rise in opposition of the settlement agreement. I live at 2220 C Avenue. I can't see this structure from my house, but I'm within 500 feet of it. I do live in the neighborhood, and there are a bunch of really nice people that live in there who care about their neighborhood. And my understanding about codes and land use requirements are that they're for the benefit of the neighborhood, and they're well thought out, and they're purposeful. This violates that. And it came in through some error, but we need to correct it. And I really believe that the integrity of our neighborhoods is at stake, and this sets a precedent that I don't think we would want in Brevard County, and we certainly would not want it in our community, where families are living and trying to thrive and raising their children and supporting all that is good in our community. So for those reasons and for a lot of the other reasons that have been shared today, I stand in opposition of this settlement.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to take 5 minutes. I promise 5 minutes will be quick, and then we'll get back started and finish this up, and then go on to the most interesting one of the day, Driftwood. Okay, Alicia, would you like to make some ending remarks here in regards to all this issue? And then if there's any questions, we'll ask that, and then we'll go to the board for decision.
Yes, I appreciate all the public comments and the opportunity to address some of their concerns. I think a lot of the comments circled around the current state of the structure. So Mr. Traska received a permit, began construction, a stop work order was issued. This was probably over a year ago. So nothing has changed with the structure. As it is now is not as it is intended to appear when it's completed. There's no doubt that right now it is not attractive. He has not been able to make any improvements to the structure until this is resolved. There's concerns about safety. Mr. Traska has had a structural engineer go through the plans, go through the structure, review the structure, and issue his opinion that as it is constructed, it exceeds the Florida building code requirements by more than 5 times. This isn't a mobile home. It's not a modular home. This is a structure that it's built on a pier foundation, just as multi-million-dollar houses in some areas are. So there shouldn't be a concern. I'm not an engineer, and I don't think anybody else in here is a structural engineer. But when they provide their professional opinion regarding the safety of the structure, there should be some credence given to that. You know, the value. Everybody's concerned about the value of their property. I've been to this property. I've been in this neighborhood, and arguably Mr. Traska's property is more valuable than anyone else's in the neighborhood. He has put a lot of time, money, and effort into having an attractive property. If he's given the opportunity, this structure will not diminish the value of his neighbor's property or his property, but will instead increase it based on appraisals that were done in preparation for litigation. There's been some comments made about setbacks. This structure meets the setback requirements under the code. Is that my time?
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. We don't have any more cards. Commissioner Pritchett, would you take the chair, please?
Certainly, sir.
Thank you so much. This property is in my district, and it's been a source of contention ever since I came on the board back in June. And it's a real mess. It really is. I mean, I hate that Mr. Traska came in here and got a permit from Brevard County and built what he thought he could build. I hate that. It's not a good thing. And I'm not going to get into I'm not going to try to get into any of the legal comments in regards to that, because it wouldn't be the right thing for me to do since I'm not an attorney. But I can tell you this: I don't want any containers, period, anywhere on a residential property. I just don't want it. Now, the good news is for a lot of the people that are here today is this is my last meeting that I'll be an in-person meeting, and I won't be able to do anything about it in the future, but I can tell you that if it ever comes up, I would like planning and zoning to completely eliminate anything that's a container that's attached to residential property. But that's just my opinion. Mr. Traska, you are friends with a lot of my friends, people that think that you're a very nice person, and I don't know you from the man in the moon, and I understand why you did what you did, but this isn't acceptable. It's just not acceptable. I testify in the courts in real estate cases all the time. I've been doing it since 1990. And honestly, this is a case that I have not, I've tried to do some research in regards to is it Mr. Snyder, is that your name, right? I didn't find that case that you were talking about, but that's an interesting case and I'd like to look at it. But ultimately speaking, there's only one place this seems to be going to me, and that's to the courts. Because I don't disagree with one of the neighbors in regards to the property values going down tremendously. There's just no way in the world. I've driven by that place and went, holy mackerel. I've got my wife in the car and I drove by it. Holy mackerel, that's ugly. And in addition to that, I've gotten appraisers in the car with me and drove by it. And everybody says the same thing. What in the world is that doing in this neighborhood? Now, once again, I have all the empathy in the world for you, Mr. Trask, in regards to what happened and how you got to where you got. But as far as I'm concerned, if I could bulldoze it and start it all over, that's what I would do. I don't have that authority to do that. And personally speaking, there's nothing on any one of these options that I see that's going to get me anywhere but try to deny them all and go back where you need to go and ultimately end up in court to be able to remove the top container. And I don't know that you can remove anything else because the bottom container is legal. But I certainly hope that the planning and zoning people, Tad and Billy and all those folks over there, are hearing me very clearly that maybe my last meeting, but I'm going to assure you I can come as an individual citizen to this and ask one of the other county commissioners to change the zoning ordinances so this will never happen again, because it's just not in the best interest of the neighbors. I don't buy the argument that the engineering is correct on that. I'm not an engineer, but this isn't my first rodeo, and there's no way in the world that thing's not going to blow over with 140-mile-an-hour winds. It just, you cannot convince me that it would stand that kind of winds. No, please don't start, okay? I'm finished now. I appreciate it. I apologize, Mr. Traska, that I can't help you in any way in this particular situation, but I'm just not on your side in this thing, and please forgive me we'll have to agree to disagree. So I don't know what's going to end up happening with this, and at this point.
Commissioner Still, I'll give this right back to you, and then you can.
Okay.
But let me throw this out. A while ago, this was a conversation we had up here, and it was a very long conversation about allowing these into residentials. We all had great concerns with it, so we set up some ideas of maybe what will work, but it was never the intent of this commission to allow these things to be lived in or to be stacked. So therefore, sir, I'm going to support you in rejecting it. It was an employee error. If the employee gave you an ability to put a Walmart in there too, accidentally, it still wouldn't fly. So for the intent of this commission at that time, I'm going to support you, sir, and reject it. It's back to you.
Commissioner Feldner.
That was my question, sir. Are you going for option 3 then?
Reread option 3 because I didn't think that was appropriate.
Do you want to read it, Morris, or do you want me?
Why don't you,
Sure.
could you just give us the 3 options real fast again so everybody can hear them one more time?
Yes, sir, absolutely. The first option is accept the agreement as submitted and direct staff to implement it with a follow-up agreement to be signed by the board. The second would be if you wanted modifications to the settlement agreement, we'd have to ask Mr. Traska if he voluntarily agreed to any changes that you wanted. And then the third is just reject the settlement outright. That will put us back to where we were in February of this year with the special magistrate order saying it has to come down. They still have some ability to appeal. County Attorney's Office has always been confident in our position and aren't concerned about, facing
Okay.
an appeal on it.
That's where I am. Commissioner Goodson, you have any comments?
No, sir, I'm just listening.
Okay. Commissioner Tobias?
No, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Pritchett? No more? Then I move that we accept item 3 as to move it.
I'll second, sir.
Seconded by Commissioner Feltner. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All opposed, nay? Nay. Okay, the motion carries 4-1. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you for your kindness and your politeness in regards to the way you've conducted yourself. We appreciate that more than you know. You guys can leave, and I think we've got to go. We've got lots more on this agenda. Not lots more. Pardon me? All right, J2. Reappointment of the members and the alternates to save on our Indian River Living Lagoon Citizens Oversight Committee, and I'm certain we have cards here. Do we not? That's good. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Virginia, you want to say something, or do you want just to go through?
I do. So this is a multi-part agenda. And so in addition to considering approving the League of Cities reappointments and the board's reappointments, there's also selection of your emeritus appointments. And your choices are Stephanie Ely or John Windsor. So, and then we need a supermajority vote to waive the term limits for whomever you pick, in addition to waiving the term limit for the League of Cities selection of Charlie Venuto.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the commission here?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
may I ask a question?
Absolutely, please.
Why do, I understand we have term limits. The League of Cities didn't come up with an alternative for that individual, or does that individual meet a certain criteria in which we can't find a replacement?
So in the prior agenda of this meeting, the board created 2 emeritus positions. And so the idea of those emeritus positions is that they would be filled by folks that have been on the committee since the beginning and have heard all the prior board direction and public comment. And so sort of by definition, they have exceeded their term limits and need that waiver.
Yeah, my understanding was that when we voted for that emeritus, it automatically bypassed that.
And we can come back and revise the county's uniform policy on advisory committees to make that so that this doesn't require a waiver every time, but for this go-around, we would need that waiver.
You explained it well. Thank you.
All right, I'm looking for a motion here. Commissioner Pritchett.
You want a motion to approve Ms. Stephanie Ely and John Windsor, correct?
One or the other.
One or the other. I make a motion for Mr. John Windsor.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Motion by Commissioner Pritchett, seconded by Commissioner Feltner. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, what else, Ms. Parker?
The rest of the agenda, which I think you were ready to make a motion and approve, so.
Okay, thank you for interrupting me and making sure that I was doing the right thing. So is there a motion to accept J2 as it is, please?
Yes, sir. Motion to accept it.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Pritchett, seconded by Commissioner Feltner. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
May I make one comment?
Absolutely.
I just want to note that the other 2 candidates for that position are excellent, too. So, thank you.
Okay. J3, who is going to, Morris, are you going to handle this one? Or is Mary Ellen going to handle this? Mary Ellen's going to handle it. That's correct. I apologize, Commissioner Goodson. I forgot who was handling this. The floor is yours, Mary Ellen.
Good morning again. Mary Ellen Donner, Parks and Recreation Department Director. You have before you today your consideration of an agreement between Brevard County and DAD 1300 North Atlantic Cocoa LLC. This agreement is regarding Lori Wilson Park and the Westin Corporation, the new hotel that's being built adjacent to Lori Wilson. So a couple of items that are of note in this agreement. They would have the ability to rent the southern portion of Lori Wilson Park for up to 100 days per year. They would be able to rent the entire park, north and south, up to 12 days a year, but that would be included in their 100 days. There are some blackout dates. There was a thought that the community would like to use the park on specific days, spring break for Brevard County, certain holidays, July 4th, Christmas. Also, too, it's important to note that from November to April, they would only be able to rent 11 days per month, and they would have the restriction of being able to rent 2 weekends, 2 out of the 4 weekends in those months, November to April. The historic reservations that we've had at that park would be grandfathered, so things like the air show that comes every other year, some of the other events that have been historically would retain their dates for their events. They would be able to rent the park up to 3 years in advance, assuming that they're booking conventions that would want to use the park. They are looking, if this agreement is ratified, approved, they would look to relocate the current dog park that's in the southern part of the park to the northern part of the park with additional amenities and improvements. They have the potential, should they so choose, to construct a golf cart path that connects the north and the south park. And they, I think it's important to note that reservations, anyone can reserve this park. You can book a pavilion, you can book a green space. So the availability for park rental would still be there. And also, too, the community uses this park, and the dog park in particular would not be closed during any event should they rent the north part of the park. So I'm available for any questions.
Okay. Questions from the board before I go to the audience? Commissioner Goodson.
Question. You would have, or the county would have a direct impact on the dog park as far as what you are going to expect them to do, correct?
Yes, actually, attachment C of the agenda item are the amenities that are proposed to be in the new dog park.
And by doing the dog park and new bathrooms too, correct?
No, there would be no new bathrooms at this point contemplated. Bathrooms were replaced a year or so ago through tourism.
But the bathrooms would be on the south side of the park, correct, at the dog park now, right?
There is a bathroom that is located adjacent to the dog park that they would have the ability, should they so choose, to either renovate or replace.
Now, on your daily fees of $1,738, that's just a portion of the park. If you wanted to rent the whole park, I would assume that would double?
Correct.
To $3,500.
We've had historical rentals of the south area, $4,000, $5,000 a day. Right now, it's a negotiated fee, and so historically, we have had a variety of costs.
Okay, and do you have milestones set that if we should do this, when should we expect them to do some of their work showing good faith? I know we can get out of it in 90 days, I know that. But do they have a milestone to meet, or can they wait years before they do anything?
There's nothing in the contract that addresses that, but through our discussions, obviously they would be looking to book the park in conjunction with events once their event center and their hotel is constructed.
Now, as far as parking, if they only do half the park, that would imply they only have half the parking, correct?
There is some consideration that they could reconfigure the south area parking, and that's the reason why the dog park would be moved to the south, to the north, to the north, so that they would gain more parking in the south area.
But as far as
yes,
as far as understanding the public would have access to park, that's going to be a hard thing to do because either you would have to police it, meaning Brevard County, or they would have to police it, correct?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
What I'm trying to understand is if they rent half the park, but then park the entire park, that would cut off the public from parking, correct?
Correct. If they rent the South Park, the North Park parking would be open and available to anyone who wished to park there, an event person or a public person.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. All right, Chair, that's all I have for now, okay? But now, one other question, then let me make sure. Can the public rent the park 3 years out?
The public currently now can rent it 1 year in advance.
But they can rent it at 3 years?
Correct, because they are booking events 2-3 years in advance, that as a convention normally would do.
Do you think that's a concern of the public, to be able to book the same as they can?
I don't know. I've not heard any
Right,
feedback thus far.
Okay. And you have 90 days if this doesn't work out to get out of it, correct? Correct? I thought there was a 90-day clause that said that if you're not happy as Brevard County, or we're not happy, we can get out of this.
There is a termination clause in the contract.
Right.
But it's termination for cause, so if there's a breach of the agreement by the other party upon 90 days' notice, the county can terminate it. That clause does not provide for a
Okay.
termination for convenience.
Okay.
Okay, we good now?
That's all I've got.
All right, before I get started, I was going to cut this back to holding your comments to 2 minutes, but in an abundance of caution with everybody that's here, I'm going to allow you to go for 3 minutes to speak. But if you, please, don't repeat yourself in regard to it, because we've got tons and tons of cards. And the last thing I'd like you to know is that if you feel like what you were going to say has already been said, then just waive your time in opposition. That would be very appreciative. So let's get started with Deborah Coombs.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Coombs. I have been a resident in Brevard County since '65. And I oppose what's about to be thought about and proposed and voted on. First and foremost, Lori Wilson Park belongs to the public. Westin Resort wants to basically take over access to our park, tear up, remove, then rebuild a dog park, build access ramps, trails, etc., all in the guise of park enhancement. With all this proposed construction, environmental impact will be devastating, including thousands of hotel guests and event setups. What do they plan on constructing? How much of this pristine hammock will they destroy? Lori Wilson is a beautiful, beautiful spot on Cocoa Beach. We don't have many of those left. You do realize the Save Our Coast program emphasizes public access and conservation. If you vote to bend the rules and approve Westin's request, you are actually breaking the law. It's public land. How many other hotels or other businesses will you allow to take over neighboring property and public places because they want to use them? And we'll clean up when we're finished. I have another question. Is there public access to all the emails this commission has received that's for and against this proposal, just like your minutes of the meeting? Okay.
Yes, just make a public records request.
Okay. Well, that's about all I have to say. I really hope this does not go through.
Thank you, Ms. Coombs. Chuck Sheridan, come on up, bud.
I'd like to make it clear that I'm not in favor of this agreement. I do understand Lori Wilson was located in the city, in the middle of the city of Cocoa Beach, and is a burden on the county on maintaining it. It's a large parcel of land, oceanfront, and that I agree is not being utilized to its potential. I agree our parks need to be monetized to cover the cost of maintaining the facilities, but this is not the answer. We are one of the only counties along the East Coast that does not have a county-owned facility on the beach or that generates income for the community. Jacksonville Beach in 1975 built a small convention center. Daytona's had a amphitheater. Palm Beach has. Fort Lauderdale, Miami have capitalized their public lands along the ocean for on convention business. We've got a cruise ship industry here that we don't capitalize on at all. You go to St. Thomas, I lived there for 3 years when I was building the Ritz-Carlton Club. You get off the cruise ship, there's a line of the dollar taxis, which the locals used, that charge $10, $20 to take you to the beach. And, you know, and they're charging $30 to $40 entry fee to the beaches, but that are free to the locals. Having this beach where the conventionaires can park in the local beach parking and not pay anything is ludicrous. Our community is growing and will continue to grow and create more burdens on our county resources. The county contributed millions of dollars to help gain a stop on the Bright Line in Cocoa. We are now starting the widen of 528 or the Bennett Causeway, whichever you want to call it. This will attract even more tourists to our community that are not here to take a cruise, but just wish to go to the beach, adding to the traffic along A1A. And I understand A1A can't be widened any further than it is. And it's created quite a burden on the community in Cocoa Beach. There are several ways to solve this problem. There's matching funds available for mass transit. A transit system could be used to take people from the Bright Line station to the beaches. We're widening the 528 project. We could save a couple of the bridges and not demolish them. That money could be used as the county's portion for matching funds from the federal to get a tramway to take people from the port or from the train depot. I would recommend to the commission that what they do is not approve this, but to form a committee to study different options that are available to solve the traffic problem and the maintenance and the cost of our parks along the beaches and the county, and bring back to the commission their recommendations. I would be happy to be a member of that committee. And I'd like to thank you all for your time and your service on the commission and your outgoing commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Keith Capizzi.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you letting me come up here and speak, and I appreciate you guys taking all of our abuse. As a surfer, I surf this park on a regular basis. It's one of the only free places to actually park in Cocoa Beach, so it's very needed. As the mayor of Cocoa Beach, I'm speaking on behalf of the residents. While I understand that we do not have jurisdiction over this park, the residents of Cocoa Beach contribute county taxes to keep this park free and accessible to the public. It's concerning that a 15-year commitment is being considered, considering we don't know exactly what's going to happen with this agreement and how it will play out. Our primary concern is ensuring that residents maintain the access to the parking, the dog park, and the beach. Additionally, the potential number of restricted use days raises concern, and the term exclusive rights is also concerning. Typically in the past, our park rentals have been limited to amenities like pavilions or fields, not necessarily the entire park. If the entire park was rented, it was for residents that could attend, not a private entity. Considering that a new commission will be soon in place, it may be wise to delay this vote. The incoming commission will ultimately be dealing with the long-term effects of this decision. Now, I do recognize the appeal of this proposal to the county, given the commitment to maintain the park to resort standards at the Westin's expense, along with the payment of the standard rental rate. However, further clarification and perhaps negotiation would be needed for the residents and I to feel comfortable with moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. No. Please don't start.
Take care of the park.
Janice Hooper.
Good morning. Jamie Hooper, thank you for your service. 5 generations have lived here in Brevard County. Came in 1915. My grandfather was one of the owners, along with Gus Edwards, with Lori Wilson Park originally. And I wanted to start with the document here. I have concerns that there's a 45-year option. These are just considerations. I am hoping that you will do just that, consider. I don't think we really have a right to lock this up for 45 years for future generations. I hope that you'll consider that. There are 2 consecutive 15-year options after this 15-year option here. The next thing that I would like to bring up, please, is that I noticed that some things that we do that are near and dear to us intrinsically, like the Special Olympics, the Military Olympics, there's autism surfing lessons that go on Saturdays there at the park. So there's a lot of things community-wise that really, once again, mean a lot to us that we'd hope are not negated in your considerations. Now, this is my biggie because nobody else is going to mention it. You all designed this new dog park well aware that there were 2 gopher tortoise burrows that are active right there smack in the middle of the area that the dog park is going to be moved to. We've had property on Cocoa Beach for a number of years, and I live across the street on June Drive. We in our neighborhood in the last 25 years have lost our gopher tortoise population, whether it's through the coyotes or A1A. Cocoa Beach is wildlife, and the gopher tortoises are very limited in their capacity of where they can live. Lori Wilson Park has a thriving at maybe 6 gopher tortoises. How they ended up here is because the grid was not done for gopher tortoise burrows when they did the nature trail. Hence the reason why those popped up over here is because the gopher tortoises were not protected with the previous development. So I would hope that you would please consider that the development that they are doing is upright and forthright. There is mention in here that, they are considering the gopher tortoises. So there's language in here that says they're considering the gopher tortoises, yet with Parks and Rec, they plan to put the dog park over the gopher tortoise holes. So I just once again want you all to please consider some of those things. The 45-year option and the placement of the dog park where the gopher tortoise burrows are. And I want to thank you all. I know some of you all will be the last time. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Ruth Amato. Hi.
Just know, conservation is conservation. It's not an exception to something. It's put in conservation for a specific purpose, not to be altered later down the road. Public lands are public lands. They're not for sale or bribery or whatever you want to call it for a public hotel, for a private hotel, for private owners. They are literally public lands for the citizens of the counties. No.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Jack Ratterman.
Jack Ratterman, North Merritt Island. I'm here to speak in opposition to the park, and I feel like I have some connection to some of the people on the board. Mr. Goodson, we grew up together. Rita Pritchard, I offered one time to put up campaign posters for her. And John Tobiah, we've wrestled a bunch of times in here. We didn't always agree, but on this, I hope that I can get at least 3 votes to deny this, that this is not good for Brevard County or for the citizens here. You and all of us are still in this experiment with democracy, and that's to represent the people. And I hope you do, and that the outgoing board members that there's somebody out there in the hall that has a bust, and Mr. Wickham, he was a huge person in this community, and that you strive to look at what he did for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Joanne Terry.
Thank you. My name is Joanne Terry, and I live in South Patrick Shores. I'm here today to speak in opposition to this agreement. Laurie Wilson Park is very popular with both residents and tourists. In fact, it is the #2 top attraction in Cocoa Beach on TripAdvisor, and it is often difficult to find parking there on the weekends. As a resident of South Patrick Shores, I am very concerned that closing half that park for as much as half the weekends to the public, and the whole park for some of that time, will create even more crowds in South Patrick Shores and satellite beach parks and beach accesses. South Patrick Shores residents have already lost access to most of the free parking in Satellite Beach because we are not in the city limits. Laurie Wilson Park was recently closed for a private event, but it was not advertised on any website that I could find. People coming to Cocoa Beach from out of the area for the day, or for the weekend, or for the week, generally do not think to make sure a public park is going to be open to the public. If they make that long drive to get here and find it closed, and other Cocoa Beach parking closed or full, then they will drive south and find beach access and beach parking. And even with the new parking fees, it is difficult to find parking on the weekends in South Patrick Shores and Satellite Beach. People will begin parking in the private parking lots and the residential neighborhoods there. This will significantly impact the quality of life for all beachside residents. And fiscally, as it was shown on the website, there is no clear financial benefit to the county, as shown what was made available prior to this meeting. In fact, giving the Westin Resort favorable treatment over other existing hotels, motels, and private rentals that rely on that park for beach access could expose the county to additional lawsuits. So from a pure benefit versus drawback analysis, this agreement shows no benefit and many drawbacks to the residents of the beach cities and creates additional risks to the county. So there is already so much cement on the beach side and more development is planned. So I ask that you please consider the residents of the beach side in this decision and vote no on this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dan Reeder.
Good morning, Dan Ryder. I'm from Cocoa Beach. I don't know if any of you guys surf on the commission, but Laurie Wilson's a pretty important surf break, especially since the dredge of '05 started. We got a pretty big trough down in the streets, and there's a north blockage of the Cape. So between the pier and the streets, there's really only one spot to surf Laurie Wilson, and it's really popular. So it gets crowded. And as a surfer and a Cocoa Beach local, we do live in the sort of tacit acceptance of the kooks and the tourists and the cruise ship people, and we understand that a lot of times the restaurants can be crowded, and we're not going to be able to, go to some of the places we like to go to. The traffic and the litter, and it's not us that need the lifeguards. It's the tourists. There's about 100 days a year, I'd say, that Laurie Wilson is the spot that all the surfers from Sebastian up to the Cape go to. It's crowded. We use it. And we can't reserve it in advance, the waves. When they come, that's when we want to use it. So the fact that, you're considering renting it out for 100 days a year to, the Westin who's coming in and already going to be trampling all over our local community, we understand that there's a benefit to having a 4-star resort and so on, but they can't threaten that they're not coming anymore. They're building the place. So their bargaining chip is off the table. I don't know why we would need to give them Laurie Wilson Park. And I can guarantee that most of the people who are affected by this are in school or at work right now. There's hundreds and hundreds of people, surfers, who just heard about this yesterday or whenever the Florida Today article came out. So there's a big movement and there's a big underground talk about how this is a really bad thing for Cocoa Beach and for surfers. So you just want to weigh whatever the $1,500 you're going to get per day against the goodwill that you're going to lose from the community for renting out Lori Wilson Park. The people of Cocoa Beach, I think, want better. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you. Is it Agnesia Cobb? Oh, I'm sorry. Angela. Okay, well, I was
Angela Cobb. I live in Cocoa Beach. Pretty much everybody said what I was going to say, but I have worked on the beaches in Brevard for 20 years, and I'm out there about 10 hours a day, and one thing I notice is trash and people walking on the dunes. I'm constantly telling people to get off the dunes, and I'm just afraid that if this park is rented out for 100 days and people are coming out there for events that don't live in Cocoa Beach, what does that mean for the environment, especially this golf cart trail they're going to put through? Is that going to go affect the dunes? And how much trash is going to be left on the beach after these events? And if our tax money is paying for this park, so we're basically paying for the hotel to make money and then have to pick up these people's trash, like, I just think you really need to reconsider this and have it more specifically written as to what exactly is going on. And I also know there's a family business down there that he supports his business from having a business at Lori Wilson. And what does that mean for him if there's events going on north side and the south side? Is he still going to be able to have his business, or is the hotel is going to come in and try to take that business from him during those events? Like, these are all things that aren't written very clearly, and we need more understanding for all of this. So,
thank you. Judy Burley, did I get it right? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Judy Eberly, 393 Formosa Drive, Cocoa Beach. I've been a resident of Cocoa Beach for 24 years. I grew up prior in Satellite Beach. I'd like to be thankful for this auditorium full.
Just do me a favor, please. Just address up here, please, and don't try to get the other folks involved with this. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, those are the rules and regulations.
You're taking my time. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, well, we'll give you an extra 15, 20 seconds. How's that?
Perfect. I am in opposition of this proposal. It is against anything that Cocoa Beach residents, past residents, we're coming up on an anniversary that's going to be celebrated by Cocoa Beach residents, by businesses that have been there for years, and even prior residents, our churches, our schools. And here, if we were to give permission to give away something that is so valued by Cocoa Beach residents. You've asked me to address you. How many of you live in Cocoa Beach? Raise your hands, please. Raise your hands, please. Nobody lives in Cocoa Beach. I appreciate your honesty in letting us know that you're willing to give your vote and give your approval of something that you don't live here. You live in Merritt Island, you may live in O'Galley, you may live in Brevard County, but Cocoa Beach is, it's the space industry. Cocoa Beach was put on the map by people like my family, my husband, who's been at the Space Center for 35 years. And you know what? Cocoa Beach is, again, one of the second largest. It was quoted earlier how important this area is to tourism. And I love tourists. I love it when they say, oh, it's tourist season. Well, you know what? That's tax dollars coming for us. I love that it was brought up about the tortoise. What about the sea turtles when they come up? Again, is Westin going to be able to adhere to turning out their lights during nesting season? I haven't heard that brought up. But again, I am opposed. It is a public park. It is a preserve. And if preserving Cocoa Beach is important to the people that are here and the people that are listening. And whoever made the actual proposal on their letterhead saying that they were thinking that this was a good idea, I want you to know that it's not a good idea. And I and my family and anybody else here, I have a few extra seconds, is the fact that no, can you stop that? No is a complete sentence. We do not approve of this. I do not approve of it. And I hope that you all have wisdom enough to listen to the people that put you where you are. Thank you very much, Judy Eberly.
Jennifer Davis.
I'm Jennifer Davis. I live in Cocoa Beach. We've been here 4 years. We're retired military. I'd hope not to have to take up your time, but I actually was approached by about 12 to 15 Cocoa Beach junior senior high students about this meeting when they found out about it yesterday. They couldn't take the time off school. They couldn't be here so that you could hear their voice. So I promised I would share their concerns, because they still believe that their voice matters, which I think is what we want to teach our children. And so I think we've already talked about how any approval of this agreement would be premature since we don't know the environmental impact, and we haven't had a good read on the tortoises or how are they going to destroy any part of the protected areas, all that kind of stuff. We've already talked about how it doesn't enhance or ensure the quality of life for all Brevard County residents, not just Cocoa Beach residents. And that's what shocked me about hearing from these junior, senior high students. So I personally have 4 children, so I get connected to all these different kids, and 40% of the students approximately at Cocoa Beach Junior, Senior High do not reside in the Cocoa Beach or the bigger geographical area of the school. And because of that, they have to travel in to go to school. And I couldn't believe that out of only 12 to 15 students, we represented almost daily use of Laurie Wilson Park. They went there with their surfboards before school because they can't check into school until 8:45. And so they go to the school and they go surf for a little bit. They surf after school. They meet with their team so that they can practice their stuff in the greenway. They go there and they figure out a nice quiet place on the beach to study. Of only 12 to 15 students, I was able to add up daily use at Cocoa Beach by not Cocoa Beach residents. And so they wanted to make sure that you heard that. And I actually lost my little quote I was supposed to read, sorry. But they just wanted you to hear that this is a public park. Their overall feeling was shock that it would even be considered letting someone buy with sparkly little things, new things, in order to buy access to a park and lock out Brevard County residents from being able to use their park for, I think they said 2 weekends a month, let alone all those days. So please vote in opposition of this agreement.
Thank you very much. One of the other Coombses is up for speaking. Is it Keela? Keely, okay, hey. Are you all any relationship to Wayne?
Yes, sir.
Pardon me?
Yes, sir. That's awesome.
He's certainly a legend in this area. Good guy.
I agree. Thank you, sir. Good morning, Commission. Just have a few points to read and address. Laurie Wilson is a park that exists for the people. The entire reason it exists is for the residents' public use. And if any hotel visitors want beach access, then they can park at the hotel and use the beach access there. Brevard County already gave this hotel $30 million out of tax funds. They should have included parking in their site plan to accommodate the guests of the hotel, and not expect to use our public park for event parking. The Westin Group says that they will help the residents by relocating the dog park, but it is no benefit to take over half the park for their own benefit. If you allow this to happen, it will set a precedent for the usage of public parks, and private interests will win. As it currently stands, there is only a limited amount of public parks, and this would be detrimental for the community. This committee, in opening, stated that, under God, we represent the people's interest. Allowing this hotel private use of our public park is illegal, and most definitely the exact opposite of that. The plan that they have in place states that 2 weekends of each month, they will be using the park. Those are the busiest times for the residents. That's when everybody goes to the beach. That would be horrible. There is absolutely zero benefit to Brevard County residents by allowing privatization of public parks. The fact that this is even being considered is an injustice in itself. Please do not sell out to a big corporation and bend to their will. Your job is literally to represent the people, and to not do that would be beyond shameful. You have the opportunity to tell the people no. That's exactly what you should do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Donna Fowler.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Donna.
My name is Donna Fowler. I live in Cocoa Beach. I've been here since 1998, and I totally oppose this, whatever you call it, proposal. I feel, well, Cocoa Beach is slowly but surely losing its small town feel. You know, it's no longer all these little restaurants that are coming up, you know, on the corner where the Chinese restaurant used to be. This company has the largest parcel of land that has beach access, so why can't they use whatever, that biggest parcel of land for whatever they want to do, instead of doing doing the 100 days with the Lori Wilson Park, up to 100 days. They already were approved a 6-story building because they own the Cocoa Beach pier, and they already were approved for a 6-story building to be built in their parking lot, which, by the way, they charge $30 per car for parking in their parking lot, which of course gives you access to the pier, but still, it's a lot of money, just like Disney and SeaWorld. So again, I hope you vote against this, because I feel like everybody else did. I agree with what everybody else said. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Melissa Byrne.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Almost afternoon. I live in Cocoa Beach, as you can imagine. The resort is a welcome addition to our community. It took a piece of property that was in disrepair, and they're going to make a beautiful resort, which we as citizens, okay, that's great. That's what we really would like. Considering there was over 200 public safety responders that had to respond to that piece of property, because there's lots going on criminally that shouldn't have been. So yes, thank you very much for coming, Westin. Thank you very much, Driftwood. But no thank you, Driftwood, and no thank you, Westin, to taking over a public park. Public park is a public park. It's for the public. They can rent it. Let them go ahead and rent it. Let them follow the same regulations and rules that any individual or any other event would like to have at Lori Wilson. We've had the surf contest, we've had the air show, but they all, follow the procedure. The other addition is that you're putting an unfair burden on the city of Cocoa Beach, because Westin may rent the park from the county. That's great, but the beach access is the public beach for Cocoa Beach, so we're responsible for that. The city of Cocoa Beach is responsible for the cleaning of it. They're responsible for the beach rangers, etc. So if they're going to go on the beach, they're going to have a special event permit from the city of Cocoa Beach, which would help defray any of the expenses that come with this. But then the city of Cocoa Beach special event ordinance states you have to present to them 45 days, 30 to 45 days before your event. So Westin would have to follow the same rules as everyone else. So it just comes down to it. At this point, the citizens are starting to realize it. The county people will also start to realize that this beach that is used, if you go by there on the weekends, it is packed. If you take away half the park, half the weekends and for 100 days. Those people, as a previous speaker said, will go somewhere else. We know exactly in Cocoa Beach where they go. They go into our neighborhoods. They park in our neighborhoods. They impact our neighbors. They block driveways. And, you know, it's cost us much more to police that. So please reconsider and table this till we get a little bit more understanding of what kind of special events we're talking about. Is it going to be like Buck Cherry, which nobody wants, or is it going to be something wholesome that we all could enjoy? Is it going to be closed to the public for their special events? It would just be nice to have more information, and at this point, just table it and go back to the drawing board and see if we can come up with something that the citizens and the county residents can all agree to. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sandra Duzerk.
My name is Sandra Zurich. I'm a new resident here. I've been here 2 or 3 years. I'm a dog owner. I walk 15 minutes to the dog park almost every day. There are a lot of us who are there on a regular basis. Many of the people are older. Some of them do not walk very well. You take away our parking, they're not going to be able to visit the dog park. So what's the point in guaranteeing that we can enter the dog park, even when it's closed, if there's no parking? We have about 4 or 5 spots right now where we go, and it's often double parked, so somebody will park behind you, and so if you want to get out, they'll move you. So you're going to take away that dog park from the residents, and that's not right. The other thing is like she just said, we get a lot of problems parking in our streets and our neighborhoods, and it's often like residents, and you can't blame the residents if they want access to their own park. So that parking lot it's wrong for Westin to be using our beach as a parking lot and not allowing residents to use the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Gregory Chatham.
Hi, I'm Gregory Chatham. Live at 338 Cocoa Isles Boulevard. I'm not any good at public speaking, but this is, I can't believe that you're considering this. This is a people's park, okay? We have very limited access. You have a $75 billion corporation that you're putting above the people that live here, the people that voted for all you. Why don't you just ask people to show a raise of hands, how many people support this place and how many oppose it?
Okay, ma'am, sir, you're not allowed to ask for a consensus of opinion.
No, I'm asking you to ask for it.
I'm not asking for it, sir. I'm gonna sit here and listen to you, and you can finish, and we'll take in your advice.
Yeah, this is a real David and Goliath thing here. A $75 billion corporation that you're taking our park away from the people that own it. We own it. They don't own it. We own it. You're taking away the prime times of the year and giving it to a $75 billion corporation. I don't see how anybody can think that that's a moral or ethical decision.
Thank you for your comment, sir.
Yeah.
James Russo. Oh my God, we probably ought to lock the doors. J.R. Russo's in town. Uh-oh. It is nice to see you, Mr. Russo. It's a pleasure to see you,
Chairman
sir.
Steele. I've been retired for 13 years. It takes a lot to get me out of a T-shirt and jeans
There you go.
and get me up early in the morning to see you. But I'm here and speaking in opposition. I've lived in Brevard County since 1958. Members of my family are here. I've lived across the street, or my family has owned a home across from Lorie Wilson Park since 1966. So we have a little bit of a vested interest. Been there so long that I'm sort of the unofficial mayor of Bahama Boulevard. So I'm here to speak, I guess, a little bit on their behalf as well. And I'm speaking in opposition of this. I know you're here to do your best to represent the people of Brevard County, but approving this is not representing the people of Brevard County, I assure you. Westin has been given previous gifts by both this commission and the city of Cocoa Beach to bring them to town. They're in town now, so be it. One of my most major objections to this, and I'll get to the point, is 3.2. You're going to allow them to rent the park for 100 days a year. And whoever drew this up, I want to give them my compliments for doing it totally in their favor, because you're going to let them rent the park for 11 days in the middle of the winter if they want to. But if they don't want to, they don't have to. They can use all 100 days between April 30th and September 30th. Now, do you realize that that allows them to rent the park, if they so choose, from about the middle of May all through the summer to about the middle of September? And I guarantee you they'll do it. To me, that's revolting. If you want to restrict the number of days they can have it per month, why don't you do it in the summertime? Whoever drew this up was so generous as to allow them to do it in the wintertime. But it also allows them to rent it for 100 days all summer long for the next 15 years. And that's wrong. So I know you're here to represent the people of Brevard County, and in doing that, I know you'll vote against that. Thank you.
Thank you, JR. It's nice to see you, sir. Senator Sullivan.
Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. So I'm sure you saw the news all across all of Florida. It wouldn't surprise me if it made national news. The outrage, the public outrage, when our state proposed using our state parks for amenities for hotels. Was that lost on you? Did you hear the outrage in the media? Let me be clear. No, no, and hell no. Keep your hands off Lori Wilson Park. This park has about 1 million visitors a year. We just spent $5 million renovating the bathrooms, the boardwalks, and a new dog park, new fencing, new sod, all of that. Let's go back to 2017, okay? When Driftwood bought that property in 2016, within the year, and Tobias's name's on a lot of these emails, you're talking a park, Lori Wilson, is sandwiched between two Driftwood hotels, the Hilton and the Westin. And that has to be so tempting to them. You're turning this into a park for a developer. This is a conceptual plan that was from 2017 when this commission tried to do this stinky deal back then. And guess what? Let me remind you. Lori Wilson, this is from the park. This is a monument. Is funded by the U.S. Department of Interior Land and Water Conservation Fund, State of Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program, Special Legislative Appropriation, and Brevard County. So via records requests, I have a copy of what those grants were. This park, and the issue with why this did not happen in 2017, the plan then, was because this property is under agreements with the state and the federal government as being for public use only and conservation. So when you look at the park, half the park is conservation area. Do you see that? Half at the top, half in the middle, okay? And so what are they going to do? There's already a golf cart path in there. They're putting it through the conservation areas to connect the hotels. Basically, this park will be an extension of the hotels. And this is just the first of 2 agreements, because you know you're going to have another one for the north part. So it's real simple. Hands off our parks. The next one's going to be Driftwood down in unincorporated in the Atlantic. They're going to want Canova, and you're going to roll over again. Here's a suggestion for you. 3 of you are leaving here in 2 weeks. Why don't you let the next commission decide this? Because this is really bad.
Always nice to hear from you, Ms. Sullivan. Heather Elko.
No Commissioner Sullivan today?
No, ma'am. Heather Elko. Heather, it's nice to have you back.
Thank you. Hello. It's just breathtaking to hear all of the comments from the audience, from the speakers, every one of them putting together really, really important points. I had prepared notes, but what I really want to say to you is, what is so special about Westin and DAD? They got their variance from the city of Cocoa Beach. They got a big gift from 3 voting members of the county commission. 2 are no longer here. 1 still is here. That gave them a gift against what all the citizens and businesses screamed to not do. Now we have the camel's nose in the tent, and he's inching forward to take up more space in our public area. That's Lori Wilson Park. When I heard Mary Ellen list all of the benefits that would accrue to us if we made this agreement, I thought that's just a lot of shiny objects. Oh, we're going to have a dog park moved, and you're going to have 200 and some days because we're only going to use 100. You're going to have half the weekends because we're only going to use half the weekends. To me, that's just a lot of confusing, shiny objects to get some kind of approval. It certainly didn't pass by the citizen smell test. We all know it stinks. And so today, voicing the same comments that others have made, I ask you, please do not approve this today. Whatever happens going forward, if it's the next commission, that would be great. If you just said, no, stop the camel, keep the nose in the tent, that's as far as we're going with it, I would be very, very happy to see that as a result. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heather. Marcy Atkins. Nice to see you, Ms. Atkins.
Nice to see you. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Marcy Adkins, and I live at 2055 Valkyria Road, Grant, Valkyria. I moved here in 1967, so I have a lot of history in Brevard County. Yesterday, my husband, who did not fill out a speaker card, would say the same thing as I, but we went to Lori Wilson Park. As I just said, we live in Grant, Valkyria, so I'm not really as familiar with it as I would like to be. I moved first to Satellite Beach, then lived in Indian Harbor Beach. Most of my high school, junior high years was in Indy Atlantic. So it was a drive for me to get to Lori Wilson Park, but I wanted to see it. My perspective, like everybody else, is no, but just because I appreciate our public spaces and I appreciate conservation. Lori Wilson and actually Val Steele, your brother, they were big proponents of conservation. Lori Wilson Park itself was established because she saw that it was an unauthorized dump, cleaned it up, and established it for conservation, and I so appreciate that. But as I drove from Indy Atlantic to Cocoa Beach, I know that there's very, very little public space anymore. It makes me sad. But when I got there, I walked the whole park. I wore my exercise clothes because that's what I like to do. There wasn't much exercise there. From my perspective, it's a very small park. But I parked my car at the north end near the bathrooms, and I walked the boardwalk to the north end, okay? Very short little walk, 1/10 of a mile. I got to the end of the boardwalk, and I was faced with noise pollution already from the Hilton. There was a loud blaring radio. I didn't like it. That's not why I go to a park. I go to a park for peace and quiet, okay? So I already saw that. All right, got back, okay, 1/10 of a mile, my Garmin tells me. I go walk to the other end, You hear all this pounding. It's the driving, so more noise pollution, all the driving of the pilings for the Westin. I was aghast when I got over there because I hate development. Sorry, developers, but I do. I really do. And but I got over there. Okay, so now let me get to my nose. The extended golf cart path from the park over there. It's just a few feet. It's like the Westin, the Hilton is that wall. You would tear up all that conservation land and put in a golf cart. The paths are already not big enough for golf carts. Your agreement says you're not going to take away any vegetation, but you'd have to allow golf courts. It's such a small park, you don't need golf carts. If they wanted to come over and use the park, they can walk, okay? So I think the golf cart thing is a no. The 100 days a year is an absolute no. That's 27.4% of the time. No, never on weekends, and no to 15 years. I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a 5-minute break, please. Get to the bottom of what's going to happen today. The person that will be called up next is Herman Dobbs. Herman Dobbs. We got 10 minutes before it's afternoon, Herman. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing my testimony. So I served 32 years in uniform and was happy to retire to the area where 3 generations of my family have lived. My wife's family have lived. And We live in Diana Shores, and some of the things that we love to do, of course, I surf and fish and regularly go to Lori Wilson Park to take my family. And as I'm sure you're aware, fishing, surfing, good weather, it doesn't lend itself to a 15-year calendar. It is access when it is. And so I would insist that the park still maintains access to the public on a 365-day-a-year basis. There are lots of opportunities and other situations that arrangements that might be made with Westin that would guarantee access to all citizens of the area and still accommodate some of the activities that they would like to do. Golf carts, not so much. Giving them exclusive 100-day use also prevents other small businesses and other interested parties from use, and it seems to be a trend, at least by state government and perhaps Brevard County, to even consider using public parks for that purpose. So I would hope that the commission will do the right thing and not delay this vote, but just decline this agreement altogether at this meeting. Thank you.
I got a question.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Can I ask you this?
Yes, sir.
You would not want anybody to be able to rent the park, correct?
I'm sorry?
You would not want anybody to be able to rent the park, correct?
No, I think ringing the park, as long as you could gain access, ensure you had access to parking for the locals, for the local use, and access to the beach. If there's ways to do that, and then you don't impact, some of the conservation efforts.
But would it not be fair to say that you can't even get parking on the beach, the city parking, you pay for it? Because if it fills up, you ain't going to get parking, correct?
That's right, sir. And, we pay for the jetty park access as Brevard County residents.
right.
We go there, but, because of the dredging, et cetera, you can't always take, your family there. And there's really minimal to no surf.
Right. So would it be
fishing,
fair
so.
to say that we should also get rid of Thunder on the beach, Easter sunrise service,
No, sir.
Cocoa Beach
No,
Air
sir.
Show?
All right,
sir,
who
I'm
is
not saying
that?
that.
Stop right now, or I will
Would it
have
be
you
fair to get rid of
removed.
those so we make sure
There
that
will be none of
everybody
that.
can park?
Well, no, sir, I don't agree with
I don't
that at
either.
all.
I don't either.
But, you can gain access to the beach if you need to. I've had a knee replacement, so I don't drag my
Okay.
fishing gear and my surfboard
Yeah.
a mile down the beach to get to Lori Wilson Park.
got
I
you.
need to be able to get on there.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Dave Netterstrom, please. Hope I wasn't out of line with that. Hope I was not out of line with that. Hello, Dave.
Hello, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Dave Netterstrom, resident of Cocoa Beach. One of the common themes I'm hearing here today is a little bit of caught off guard, I guess you might say. I mean, a lot of people were kind of blindsided by this and last minute, and oh my gosh, and where'd this come from? And I thought I was speaking just on behalf of Cocoa Beach, but it sounds like it's more than just Cocoa Beach residents. But anyways, this is a very emotional topic for Cocoa Beach, Lori Wilson Park. And I guess it seems like we didn't get an opportunity to be a part of the discussions, to participate in this, have some public conversation amongst ourselves. And we know it's a complicated solution for multiple different reasons. So I guess what I'm asking is perhaps you guys would table this to give us an opportunity to go back and have some public discussions within Cocoa Beach. Let us have conversations with you guys. Let us have conversations with Driftwood and see if we can't, again, we just need some time to digest. We want to be a part of the conversation. And I think it would help tremendously our relationships with you guys. And I want Driftwood and Cocoa Beach to also have a strong long-term relationship. So from a relationship point of view, I think it'd be important just to take a pause. Let's hash this out a little bit more and bring it back in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Janice Scott.
Good morning, Commissioners. Here you have Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach, former mayor, following a former mayor, and the mayor of Cocoa Beach is here representing. I appreciate all the comments that have been made this morning, so I'm trying really hard not to repeat them. But Cocoa Beach is going to celebrate its 100th birthday this year, 2025. The logo is Jewel of the Space Coast. I know everyone thinks world famous Cocoa Beach from Ron John's, right? But we are world famous, and it is a beautiful place, but it's only 4 square miles. 4 square miles. When the Driftwood came in for a permit, they are, as the gentleman mentioned, $75 billion corporation. They were, the red carpet was rolled out. They got a 30% density grandfathering, 30% more. They have 502 rooms going in there. They have 77-foot building height. That's 32 feet higher than what the code allows today. Like I said, the red carpet was rolled out. They got $30 million from the TDC funds over 30 years. You know what that would have done to all the beaches and the beach parks? I've served on the Citizen Advisory Committee for the parks, the county parks, for about 7 years. This never came before us. I can tell you that last week when your meeting was canceled, you would have had the same participation here objecting to this. I recall when the Medieval Festival was kicked out of Wickham Park earlier this year. The whole conversation was about, we do not want for-profit private corporations in our park. So they kicked out the Medieval Festival that had been going on there. It was very popular for many years. Laurie Wilson Park also is the location for the Mansfield Maritime Hammock. It's the last probably accessible maritime hammock on the eastern seaboard. It's beautiful, peaceful. The TDC just funded the rebuilding the boardwalk through there. If you haven't been, you really do need to go. You can identify 5 or 10 birds on any given day, see the restoration of the native plants there. And this park was acquired for preservation. I don't know how you control preservation if they dig up the permeable surface and put more parking, more cement. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Nancy Apple?
Hello.
Hello, Nancy.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to all of us. I live in Cocoa Beach. I have a business in Cocoa Beach that's tourist-related. Grew up in Cocoa, and I'm old enough to know remember when Laurie Wilson Park was open and how exciting that was. I am urging you to vote no on this project. It is a public park, not a park for businesses, and you are meeting during the day at 9, and I think if you had been holding this in the evening at 5 or 6, when more residents would have come in, you would find there'd probably be hundreds of people here in opposition to this proposal. So I thank you again for your time and wish you the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Steve Winters.
Good morning, gentlemen. So I've lived in Brevard County most of my life since I was 10 years old. And I've lived on just about every beach community all along the coast from Cape Canaveral all the way down to Florida Beach. And, you know, I love Cocoa Beach. I love the whole Brevard County beach area. And this proposal, I'm against this proposal. And I don't know how many acres the Westin property is, but I know it's a giant area. It's a lot of property that they have there. And I don't know why they want to encroach onto Lori Wilson Park when they have so much property already. And I think it's just greed. And they just, I don't know why they would want to do that. It's a county park, and there's no reason why they should. It's just not fair to the citizens of Brevard County that they would want to move into, take over this park like that, like they're proposing. And also, I wanted to mention that I was friends with Lori Wilson, and she used to pick me up hitchhiking when I was a teenager, when I lived in Satellite Beach. She picked up me and my friends hitchhiking all the time. She was a very nice, kind-hearted person. And I also used to work, she owned a VW Bug, and I used to work on her car when I worked at Jim Hooper Volkswagen in Merritt Island. And so I considered myself a friend with Lori Wilson. And I can tell you that she would be rolling in her grave if she knew what these people were trying to do to the park that's named after her. And so I would just beg you to please not let this proposal go through. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Mary Jane Nail.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the ability to speak to you today. I am a longtime resident of the city of Cocoa Beach. I've lived there since 1966 with my husband, but I came to Brevard County in 1949. 49, birds everywhere. I mean, blanketed the Banana River. Wildlife everywhere. You don't see that anymore because of development. Lori Wilson is rolling over in her grave. I knew Lori Wilson too. And she was a very conscientious person in leaving that segment of Cocoa Beach for public use. I don't want to see you table this and bring it back to another commission. I want you to kill it, and kill it now, and kill it right this minute. That's what I want to see. I don't want conversations. I'm not interested in conversations. I'm interested in action. And the action would be all of you benefit from the revenues of Cocoa Beach. Every single one of you. You may not live there, but guess who generates the majority of the revenue for Brevard County? Cocoa Beach. She's your goose with the golden eggs. And I'm here to tell you that the revenues are redistributed to all of you. So you are de facto Cocoa Beach residents because you're benefiting. I built my house in Cocoa Beach, have 75,000 hits on YouTube because it was Florida's first most energy efficient house. I wouldn't have built that had I known that it's going to turn into just a rape and pillage community of not allowing the citizens to benefit from the natural things that we have in Cocoa Beach, namely the last thing that we have in Cocoa Beach, Lori Wilson Park. So I'm not asking you to defer. I'm asking you to take action, and take action today and kill this. There is no support for it whatsoever by anybody. And You should have advertised it on Instagram, TikTok, or X. And believe me, you wouldn't have capacity for the people. There would be overflow out into the parking lot. So kill it now, and thank you for that. Bless you all.
You just can't help breaking rules, can you, Sandra? Tracy Stewart.
Hello, everybody. I'm out on the beach every day. I'm a conservationist. I rescue animals and turtles, and we bring them to Laurie Wilson Park, the hashbacks, washbacks. I think this is a terrible idea. I think everybody I know couldn't be here today. We're on the beach every single day, every day, morning and night. We gather on the beach, sometimes Laurie Wilson Park. This is just a rotten idea. I hope you take it into consideration that there's so many more eyes and ears that wanted to be here, that couldn't be here. And I hope you make the right decision, because it means everything to me and my friends. And everything's been covered already, so I'm not going to repeat. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Roma Chavanis.
My name's Roman Chavan. I'm a Cocoa Beach resident, and I've been a Brevard County resident since 1983. I've been a business owner since 2010 in Cocoa Beach, and I use Laurie Wilson almost every single day. It's a wonderful, wonderful park, like everybody has said. And, one thing that's a common theme that I'm hearing is parking. Parking's hard in Cocoa Beach. Parking's hard in our public parks. And they're right. Every time I go to Laurie Wilson, it can be full. But at least if you wait a little bit and a family will back out and let you in, you can get parking. What I hear here is that Westin is going to be using this as a de facto valet parking lot. Of course, they're going to put a cart path in so they can go back and forth and drop cars off and pick them back up again. Mr. Goodson, you were asking a speaker earlier about some questions about not having anybody rent the park. And I understand there's a subtle difference here between, the public and private companies renting. I've put in applications to use Laurie Wilson many times over the years, and for my own events. But the difference here is I wouldn't be getting the same benefit as the Westin would. I'm not able to book out 3 years in advance. There's things that I have to do. In fact, there's times where I can't actually even put an application in prior to a certain time frame. So I don't think that those were fair questions to that gentleman. I don't think he was saying that no one should rent the park. I think what he was really wanting to say, and what I'm saying, is that it should be fair and level across the board. A private company shouldn't have more power than a Cocoa Beach resident or Brevard County resident to use a public park. It just seems kind of ridiculous and a little bit biased. So, of course, I oppose this, and I oppose that. I say that we should make sure that the Westin shouldn't even be able to use the parking lot for their own parking structure, because that's kind of what it sounds like they want to do. People are saying, why do they want to use the park? Well, because there's a couple of hundred parking spaces that would probably really benefit them, because I haven't looked at their site plan. I don't know if they plan on putting a tiered parking lot on their property or not, but it sounds like they need more space. The impact of the wildlife is a huge issue. The park, the wildlife preserve that's in between the two parking lots is absolutely beautiful. It's completely unused, if you ask me, but maybe that's the whole point, that you just don't see people there because it's a nice, quiet place, and people can go there every now and again. So if you start bringing a lot of people to a wildlife area, it kind of defeats the purpose of having a nice, protected wildlife area, especially putting cart paths through it, impacting all the life that lives there. Again, I would oppose this. I hope that you can all take the consideration of everybody here and all the people that legitimately couldn't be here today to express themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for your comments. Commissioner Goodson, this is your district, your baby.
Well, I wouldn't call it my baby.
Well, okay, you've got the floor, sir.
Right, I wouldn't call it my baby. But, I guess I find it totally, maybe I know everybody wants to kill it, Everybody wants to pass it. So here's our situation, okay? You have quoted many times, many of you quoted, that you're going to damage the canopies in the woods, and it says in Section 8:10, under no circumstances shall damage, trim, mutilate, mow, remove any vegetation, natural area, animal species on the site protected by the local, state, federal, yada, yada, yada. So I think what I would like to see, Chairman, is to pull this, forcing Westin to get with these people, make sure everybody has a draft of the agreement they can read and understand, and that's my motion. I'd like to pull it and have Westin work with the people to see if they can come to an agreement. Because if you know anything
Okay,
about...
stop out there, please. Just stop.
If
Are
you know
you
anything
making a
about...
motion to table, Commissioner Goodson?
Not table, pull it.
I would, if I may.
At this time, and let
This is-
Westin work with the people.
Hold on.
Okay.
I know you want to speak. Okay, so pull it till when?
Whenever they...
Okay, I don't need anything from you folks out there.
Whenever Westin gets to
I'm
a
sorry,
point...
I apologize. I don't see any cards from you, sir. What is your name?
He's Westin.
Are you with Westin? Okay, then come on up.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right,
Commissioner
buddy,
Goodson.
that's all right.
I want to make sure this is completely fair
I
and
understand.
straightforward.
Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Mac Watson. I'm the Associate General Counsel of Driftwood Capital. Thank you for your consideration today. Obviously, we're asking you to approve the agreement today. So I wanted to make myself available to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Okay. Now, is this gentleman with you? He's holding something. Did you want to say something here? What is your?
I also have a card. My name is Hector Arechiga. I'm also part of Driftwood Capital. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Matt, if you just stand or sit down here, and if somebody has questions, we'll see if we can get them answered.
Okay.
All right, so let's go back to Commissioner Goodson. I heard what he wants to say. Commissioner Pritchett, it's your floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, this is the last meeting we have you, and we've all studied very hard on this. I don't know that I'd want to put it to a place where you don't have an ability to have a vote or an impact on it. So I think we need to probably finish a lot of the conversations, get some of the questions cleared up. A lot of the things that were being argued, if that was happening, I don't know. I don't think those things are happening. So I do know that right now the Westin Hotel, after they get put in, that they have an ability to already rent up to 100 days out of the year. Any entity would. I think the difference in this, if you read it, they do under our Parks and Rec agreements, but what this does is it allows them to do it out in the future. So I think if they were holding, from what I heard, weddings or some type of events like that in the future where someone needs to wait to maybe next February or something to do this. And another thing that I heard, and I need to find out from you guys, is I don't believe you need the parking because you guys have 800 parking spots going into this massive hotel. You can come up if you'd like to. But I think if everybody knew there's a potential of 12 days a year where you're going to close it down where there won't be public access, I think that's really what I saw in the agreement. But you're moving the outside area over, I think, for weddings and things like that, so you have access to an outdoors area. So I don't think this is really manipulating the parking at all. So if you want to speak to that, so I think a lot of things we heard today might have just been bad information going around. I want to know, Miss Mary Ellen, are we protecting turtles? That caught my attention. If we're going to make sure that that's something that everything has to work through. No one can do anything, and we make sure the gopher turtles are protected.
Correct. We work for Brevard Zoo when we relocate gopher tortoises dens.
Okay. I'm begging with you, please. Okay, let's just all be civil. Let's get everything out on the table, and we'll try to get a fair answer today. Would you do that for me, please? I would appreciate it.
And
Okay.
a couple of other things I heard about the lights on the beach. So we have things in place. You're not going to be able to have lights on the beach during turtle nesting seasons. You guys know you have to comply with that. I heard that too. The 15 years, I'm not sure that's automatic, and the length of time, that does seem like a long length of time, so that might be something to have a conversation with. Environmental issues, you're not allowed to mess with the environment out there at all. If you do create that path over, you're going to have to be above the foliage down there, because I know that's something that's going to be great expense for y'all if you end up getting that, so it doesn't mess with it, so people aren't walking through it. And so I know you can't mess with the conservation aspect out there, and the people are still going to have full access to their beach, other than the 12 days a year where you're going to have that ability to rent it for all day long. So I think we've got a lot of really scary sounding information out there, and I don't think it's really out there. Because right now, if you moved in, the hotel is allowed to put in and rent that. They just can't rent it 3 years out in advance. So like if you wanted to do a big convention or something, you wouldn't be able to do it, and I think that's part of this. But I think the benefit to the Brevard County citizens is we don't have money to fix that park up, and how much
Okay, stop, please.
how much was the company willing to invest in this park to upgrade it for our citizens?
So the budget hasn't been finalized, as we need to go through the budget together and get commission approval. That's part of this process.
Okay.
But we're anticipating it to be around $1 million.
About $1 million, because it really needs a lot of love. The bathrooms need upgraded.
I'm gonna end up taking a 15, 20-minute break if you keep it up, okay?
You guys, let us just talk. We didn't interrupt you when you're talking, and let's just see what we can listen to and hear right now. Everybody might not agree with me, but these are really good questions, just like you had good questions. Ms. Amato, really. So I think those are the things that we need to just kind of get out here for everybody to hear it. But we've been looking at this for a while. I've been watching the agreement come from the office, and we've had a lot of time to research it. So I'd like to hear what the commission has to say with this, but I really would like for Commissioner Still to have a vote on this, and this is his last meeting, and I know he's not new to this issue himself. So, and this is a Brevard County park.
Well, Commissioner Pritchett, I appreciate it very much, but I'm going to tell you right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the lead of the commissioner from the district. So whatever Commissioner Goodson is going to want is what I'm going to do.
My motion would be let's pull it. Also, my motion would include, let's change the 15 years to 8, because, all right, that's my motion. And making these people go to the community and discuss it and inform everybody of what's written in the agreement rather than what proposes we're going to kill tortoises.
And by the way, I'm happy to address some of the issues that the crowd had asked about as well, and some of the misconceptions that we've negotiated within the agreement,
All right.
if you'd like me to do so.
That's my motion.
I can't go along with the
Mr. Chair.
28 years.
Go ahead.
I'm confused about that motion because, number one, it tables it to, there's no date, and number two, you want to alter it, so how do we alter something and table it? I think those might be mutually exclusive.
No, I don't.
Commissioner
I'm just
Feldman.
going to say one thing real quick. I was prepared not to vote for this today anyways, so quite candidly, I think if Commissioner Goodson is to pull this, it probably wouldn't come back to this commission. It would be the next commission, and I'm going to just bet right now that that doesn't pass. So that's fine with me because I wasn't planning to vote for this anyways. So.
I don't have a problem with not voting for it, actually. I want Commissioner Goodson, who's staying on the commission,
So do you need a
to take the
second?
lead.
Huh?
Do you want a
No.
second to table it? Is that what
Yeah,
we need?
just
Or
give me a
pull it?
motion to table it.
I'm sorry, Morris?
Yeah.
And may I just say, we've been negotiating this agreement together for 6 months.
Okay, everybody, calm, please. Matt, go ahead.
So that's why we feel like it's appropriate to have a ruling on this today, an approval on it today.
Matt,
We've been-
you're heading down the wrong direction because you're going to lose today, okay? So if I were you, I would just sit there and let it be tabled and try to get into some conversation, or I think this thing's going to go right down the tubes. So you can do whatever you want. Commissioner Goodson, your motion is what? To table it? Is it Morris, yes, sir.
Yeah, that's fine. This isn't a quasi-judicial hearing or anything, so it doesn't need to be continued to a date certain. So if you just want to lay it on the table, or like you said earlier, if you want it pulled and maybe rescheduled after there's been time for developer to have a community discussion or something, you can make either of those motions. It's the same result.
I would just want to table it, and he would be the one that would have the desire to meet with these people. I don't know if you meet
Okay,
with them.
you can't hear it? Okay, yes, ma'am. All right, well, I can handle this. I'm a big boy. Thank you very much. Please speak into the microphone.
I'd like to
Thank you.
table it, and then these gentlemen can work with those people, and I will know if they do, and see if we can get some sort of an understanding where everybody could be happy. Well, I doubt, but maybe. I don't even know if you know who pays for that park out there.
Okay. Let's not get in any side conversation. Let's get into the motion. Is there a second on tabling this motion?
Can I just clarify? He said table it. That insinuates that it's coming back at a certain date. So just pulling it is just.
Pulling it.
I'm just going to pull it.
Right.
All right. I'll second pulling it. All right.
Okay, Commissioner Tobias, you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and this is for the commissioners that are going to stay on here. This board, me specifically, have made numerous overtures to the city of Cocoa Beach to take this park. And first of all, they claimed 5 or 6 years ago that the park was in disrepair. So the TDC, from a former commissioner, came forward and invested about $4 million in this park. I have it down: boardwalks, crossovers, trees, north and south bathrooms, shower towers, whatever they are, and some fencing. So a lot of money was put in this park. So we brought it up to a better shape than what it was in. And the city still didn't want this park. So we weren't selling it, to be very clear. The offer wasn't to sell it to the park to the city. This is in the city of Cocoa Beach. It was to hand it over to the city of Cocoa Beach. And had the city decided that was, if the park was so important to them, they would have taken it, and this would have been in their hands. It was mentioned up here, do you live in Cocoa Beach? I agree that local issues can be handled better by local officials. I'll tell you what is not okay as someone that doesn't live in Cocoa Beach. The city decided that they didn't want this park. Okay, they did not care enough to take this park for free. Now, they could have turned around and monetized this park for parking. But the richest thing you heard up here was the mayor of Cocoa Beach say, I like this park because there's no parking fees associated with this. As they he voted to collect millions of dollars of parking. Now think about that. I like it because it's free, but I'm going to take everyone else's money. I mean, that is insane here. But now the city wants to get involved in something, though they're not willing to participate financially. This is an agreement between, I wasn't part of this agreement. It was between a commissioner, staff, worked together with this organization. I had no input on it. I saw it here. In all honesty, I would have liked to have seen the 3 years granted, not just to your organization, the public as well. Okay, I think that probably would have made it a little bit better. I had that as an amendment, and I think that would have moved it forward. But yes, the citizens are extremely important in this, but let me tell you what is not important. It's the city, the elected officials of the city of Cocoa Beach that are now caring that this is the most important thing to them, yet they were not willing to take this for free after $4 million was invested. So I understand your guys' anger, I do, but it's directed at the wrong place. It's not us up here. It's your elected officials of Cocoa Beach that on numerous occasions have said, no, we don't want this for free, okay? So I'm disappointed now that we're not going to vote on this, but I can count the votes, and I see that you probably have at least 3 here to do that. I respect it, but I hope as you continue forward, if Cocoa Beach really claims that this is so darn important, they would put their money where their mouth is and say, yes, we're willing to take this park, because when we keep on acquiescing to somebody that is not part of this, we're giving up our authority as county commissioners to the city of Cocoa Beach, as we just did with lifeguards. The county is funding lifeguards on state parks that are attached to state beaches that are attached to city parks, that the city is making millions of dollars of parking revenue, okay? The way it works, we have the state legislature, we have the county commission, and Cocoa Beach. The way we're running things, it's the state legislature, Cocoa Beach, and then we're following under the way that the way they're dictating, and it's terrible that the commission is allowing them. Yes, they bring in tons of revenue, absolutely bring in tons of revenue, but they shouldn't be dictating terms up here. So I just ask that for the commissioners that stay. I appreciate it, and
You good?
thank you.
Yes. Now, hold on. Commissioner Pritchett, do you have any more comments today?
Yeah, just,
I have one last one when you're finished, too.
yeah, just, I think this would have been a great investment to the community. And
Okay, folks, come on.
that money that Westin got before, by the way, they didn't get money. They get a reimbursement on advertising dollars out of our like $70 million advertising that TDC uses. And that can only be dollars above and beyond what was already coming into that facility. So just if you want to know, that's the real information on that as well. But I agree with that this is a county park, and I do know that if Cocoa Beach would have got it, they would have charged for parking on it then. I know you would have.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's free with the city with that.
Oh, my
But
God. All right, we're gonna.
I think she's
we're
out of
gonna- I'm
order.
gonna take about a 30-minute break here if you don't stop, and I mean it. And we can you can just wait and wait and wait. But if we keep on with the nonsense out here, we're just gonna stop this. Now, let's finish this up, please. I mean, we're all grown adults, I think.
But
All
the-
right, now, are you finished?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
But as Commissioner Tobias pointed out, we did take $5 million of funds and help make that park a little bit better, because it was really trashy before. It still could use a lot of love. It's what the public uses, and the tourists use it, the citizens of Brevard County uses it. It would have been nice to get that upgraded a little with an upgraded dog park. But, you know, whatever works out, it works out. But I know you guys are going to be successful in your business anyways, and thank you for taking a really bad property and bringing in a quality hotel. And I do want to throw this out right now to end this on a high note, is I do know that you guys are also opening up the facility for all the people to come in. They don't even have to stay there to kind of enjoy all the amenities that it's going on in the hotel. I think it's a really wonderful project for all of our community. And I think you're having like a surf thing in the pool. So it'd be kind
Correct,
of.
the surf pool.
Yeah, so people can go out and enjoy all that, lots of good restaurants, and just a very excellent thing you guys are bringing. So I do want to end this on a high note, and thank you for bringing, I think it was like a $200 million investment to the community.
Oh, more like 700 million, isn't it?
It's a $467 million project.
Right.
Yeah, well,
It's huge. Okay.
thank you for all that. So I do want to end on that with y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pritchett. I have only one other comment. Each and every one of us have a district, and we have protocol up here that we have pretty much followed. It's not absolutely a rule. It's not against the law for us to do this. This is what we normally do. Commissioner Goodson's district is the district that Cocoa Beach lies in. He has the main responsibility. That's where he runs when he runs. That's where he gets his votes if he decides to run, and that's what he does. He knows Cocoa Beach, and that's his district. One of the only reasons today that I'm voting to go along with Commissioner Goodson is because I can see the handwriting on the wall. I know what the votes are here. Doesn't take me, Albert Einstein, to figure that out. So the only way that I think you're going to get any help here is basically to withdraw it and get with the people and make some discussions and try to get it back to where a point is, because I know where the votes are. It'd be 3-2 and it would be against you. Okay? So I would suggest that we go ahead and end the discussion or ask the question, does anybody else have any more discussion on withdrawing this for now? Hearing none, all in favor of withdrawal of this motion, of this project for right now, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, it's a 3-2 vote, and it's not dead, it just needs to be worked out some things that are very important. The 100 days of consecutive rental needs to come out of that agreement. There's so many things that need to come out of that agreement to make it even a little bit palatable. It's crazy. But if the Commissioner Goodson would have gone the other way, I'd have gone with him. So that's where I stand. All right, let's go to J4. I'm sorry, Matt.
Thank you.
J4 is Peter, do you want to take it, or?
Sure,
Yeah,
I'll set
please.
it up and you can take it from there. J4 is a request from the TDC to seek an Attorney General opinion regarding the use of TDT for lifeguards. Morris?
I make
Yeah.
a motion to send it to the Attorney General.
I'll second that motion, but I do want to make a comment on it, and I think Morris might also. The Attorney General's opinion means nothing. It absolutely means nothing. It's just an opinion from an attorney up in the Attorney General's office. Why anybody thinks that the Attorney General's opinion is going to be more valid than Morris Richardson's a thing is absolutely insane. The person up in the Attorney General's office that makes the opinion has been an attorney for maybe a year or two, and he's the one that writes the opinions. I'm going to go along and vote for this just because everybody thinks, oh, let's do an Attorney General's opinion. Do you want to do it? We'll do it. So, Morris, you got any comments on this?
No, sir, I have no objection to the Tourism Development Council's request.
Okay. Hearing no other conversation, oh my God, Sandra, you're going to win if you just let it go. Come on. You couldn't stop from speaking if you tried.
So when this came up, Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. So when this came up a year ago, I requested and sent you all an email citing 2 Attorney General legal opinions. In addition, citing state statute that we go out and we get an AG legal opinion. You've already spent nearly $1 million last year. You've already appropriated money this year. We just need to know what we're doing is legal, because I was at a meeting and Representative Randy Fine at a Patriots meeting said this is not legal. And so for that reason, okay, because from what I've seen here, you know, I've seen things come here like, for example, giving Driftwood $5 million, right? That was a supermajority vote. It needed a supermajority vote. It was in the TDC meeting. Oh, but if we do the Driftwood move, and we move that money from capital and we move it to marketing, and we take a vote to use it out of marketing, which is BS, because the documents show it going directly from capital to Brightline, then we can do a simple majority vote. So no, I don't trust our county attorney, nor do I trust him since he didn't investigate the allegations against Tobias, which have been founded true. So let's do the right thing here. And since we have lost trust in this county and in this board, let's go out to an AG legal opinion and let's hear from our state, because state statute says you can't spend it on this unless you're a county that's smaller than 250,000 people. You know what we really need to do, where you guys should be putting your focus, is working with our state legislators. This is what we should have been doing a year ago. And changing the law, because is it fair and reasonable that the TDC pay for lifeguards on our tourist beaches? Absolutely. Should it pay for police and fire as well and help with some of the EMS responses? Absolutely. So let's work productively to an end goal to solve the problem, rather than pretending like the law isn't on your side. Bye.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you, Morris. If you'll handle that for us, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely, sir, thank you.
Now we have Mary Jane Nail. Public comment? Okay, you're okay. Janice Scott? No more public comments? All right. Here, come on. I'm sorry. I didn't see you coming up there. The computer
That's
was in the
because
way.
I'm only 5'2", and I always feel like I need a box to stand on here. Thank
Well,
you for letting me speak,
you
though.
look great, Mary.
I wanted to bring two things, actually, to your attention. One of them came up in my discussions during the hurricane evacuation. Channel 27, you know, the weather, kept saying, referring to the Barrier Island, North Barrier Island and South Barrier Island. So I made the remark, oh, well, nothing's going on here in Central Barrier Island, because I said I serve on the Parks Advisory Committee, and it's called the South and Central Parks Committee. But apparently, nobody else uses the phrase central to define that Cocoa Beach is in central Brevard. They only call it north and south, and apparently Cocoa Beach is in South Barrier Island. Do you know that? Also, I would appreciate it so much if someone would take it as a serious concern about hurricane evacuation at the Barrier Island. We have at least 1,500 more hotel rooms coming in Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, now that have already been planned, that are not completed, and also on the drawing board. It's very difficult to get across here on 520. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon from Plamosa to US 1, because of that jog on over the Hubert Humphrey Bridge past Cocoa Village. FDOT, I know they've been working there. They put those stupid little, I call them suicide sidewalks, where you get off the main sidewalk that juts out into the roadway, so somebody coming along veers a little bit, and they'll just bump you off. I really think it's serious that 520 in particular, I know they're going to work on 528, but neither of those improvements for widening those evacuation routes are on the drawing board. Thank you. And it takes 20 years, probably.
Thank you so much. Mary Jane, I'm sorry, I missed you. Come on up.
Thank you. Hang on, I just don't want to fall.
No, we don't want you to fall either.
This is actually the reason that I came today. I happen to be a member of the Brevard County Parks and Recreation Board, and we have been going over our policy and procedures, and it seems as though there's been an interpretation by the county attorney that when we have people come to be part of the audience, that it is not required for us to have them state their name or where they're from. Now, I find that incredible because most boards want to know the name of people and they want to know where they're from. For instance, you have this little card. You want to know everything about the person. I suggested that I come here today, and I'm here to ask why this is, and can we change it? Because it seems to me that you have secure situation here. You have security out there, you've got security inside, and you require knowing who the person is and where they're from. Now that we have the board meetings here in your building rather than in our own communities because of Mr. Tobiah there, thank you very much for that. Now we all come here. Then we need to at least be able to know who you are and where you're from. So I don't know what it's going to take to get a reversal on this, but the fellow who is chairing it now, Mr. Roger Harden, believes that he has to comply, we have to comply as a board with this suggestion of you can't ask who the person is and you can't ask them where they're from. That's dangerous. So the reason I came here today is to ask, can we have the same consideration that you have, that all of the cities have? Wherever you have a board meeting, you normally have to say who you are and where you're from. So just would like to have that clarified, and hopefully you can get together with the head of the board and reverse that, because I think it's dangerous. Thank you.
Morris, did you have something to say?
I've never heard of that. I'm not sure where that came from, but absolutely, board members can ask someone who wants to speak under public comment for their name and where they reside. Now, they're not required to provide it, but you can certainly ask. There's no prohibition against that.
Okay. All right. Let's go down to board reports. County manager.
I have no report.
County attorney.
Yes, sir. Pursuant to Section 286.011 Florida statutes, I am advising the board that I seek your advice concerning litigation regarding renourishment of mid-reach beaches, including litigation in case number 05-2023 CA 15474 in the Circuit Court for the 18th Judicial Circuit, as well as related appellate cases. And I request the board's consent to schedule an attorney-client session on November 12 of 2024, if that date ends up being available, concurrent with the board's regularly scheduled meeting for that date. I don't need a vote on that if there's just a consensus of the board.
Okay. I'm good. Commissioner Pritchett.
Yes, sir. I have one thing I'd like to do, and we were honored to have you serve with us for almost a whole term. You had to graciously step in when we lost our other commissioner. And the commission just has this little plaque for you for chairing for us this past year that we'd like to present you with.
Thank you very much.
You've had to do this during a hard time. It's election time, and people just kind of get places emotionally that they normally don't. And they actually, if I may say, get kind of mean, especially when it's a presidential election. But you've done a great job. You've handled it well, and I'm glad you're still here with us through a few of them things. Thank you for not leaving us. But we just appreciate you very much, sir.
Thank you
So
very
thank
much,
you.
Commissioner. I appreciate it. Commissioner Feltner, you have any report?
I'll just say something real quick. Prior to the hurricane coming, I went out and made sandbags at Wickham Park with about 20 of Brevard's inmates who were out there, and I don't think anyone sat down for 8 solid hours making sandbags. I got them food afterward, and everybody ate in the rain. We had been rained on all day, so it really didn't matter at that point. I would say they had a good sense of humor. We certainly, told a few jokes and what have you, and I appreciate their effort, and BCSO deputies who were out there too. So for the public, I think they were pretty generous with us. It was a long wait, but everybody understood, and I'm glad everyone took the storm seriously and made appropriate preparations.
Thank you. Commissioner Goodson? Okay, real quickly, I just want to say thank you to all of the wonderful people of the staff of this county. Oh, my God. I don't know, you from the general public really don't get an insight into what they go through and what we do and how we prepare. And it is amazing what talented people that we have here. And yeah, we have some fights. Sandra Sullivan and I have had some fights over the year. But I still think she's a wonderful person. I think she's somebody that means what, is tenacious about what she does. She has a right to do that. But sometimes we disagree. That's happened today a little bit. But at the end of the day, what we do is, as adults, we make decisions and we do what we think is right for this county. And each one of these commissioners up here, oh my God, Commissioner Tavai, I've just absolutely loved working with you. Commissioner Pritchett, you were the chairperson when I came on board. You kind of mentored me, and good old Commissioner Feltner threw me into the fire when he nominated me for being chairman, and Commissioner Goodson went along with it. But I can tell you one thing, it's an absolute honor to work with you folks and you people. And I want to thank my staff, Charlene Brown and Jeanette and Danielle. It's been really a tough time. You make some decisions, like the decision that we made today. That's a difficult decision, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do in order to get it to where it's going to work for everybody. So I just want to say thank you, and God bless all of you. I appreciate it. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Oh, you got vice. Let's go.
I'll be quick. Today is National Make a Dogs Day. That includes everything but a new dog park in Laurie Wilson Park. Useful Florida fact, in 1982, while cleaning land to develop the Windover Farm subdivision in Titusville, over 200 separate intact burial sites were located. Archaeologists determined the sites were between 7,000 and 8,000 years old, predating King Tut and the Great Pyramids by more than 2,000 years. The material and the bodies were buried in is believed to be the oldest woven fabric in the world.
Sandra, could you please just for 1 second stop, Matt?
Yeah,
Just for a
we're
minute till
gonna.
we finish up.
Yeah, the important one is.
I apologize, sir.
The important one is employee recognition, and it's a big one here. Keith Allward, I see him out here. He's the legislative aide and road and bridge specialist. 43 years of service. Keith began working for Brevard County in 1976. During his time, he has worked with 19 different commissioners, 8 different county managers, and served through 23 hurricanes and tropical storms. Fun facts, including his wife and father, Keith's family has more than 90 years of service to Brevard County. While a heavy equipment operator, Keith assisted BCSO by excavating muck from a small pond in search of the victim in a high-profile murder case. He has also been tasked with removing a 25 to 30-foot humpback whale from Melbourne Beach. It says here, and I don't know where we got this information, but that smell stuck with him for 2 weeks. And finally, he enjoys spending time with his daughter, playing golf, working out, and hanging out at the beach with his wonderful wife and a cooler of White Claw. So Keith, thank you for not just you, your family, for all your service to Brevard County. We greatly benefit from it. So thank you so much.
Say something real quick. Actually, we call him Dana's dad and Dana's mom. They are definitely Dana's parents, and they now have Dana's dog and Dana's cat, and everything they do, they just tell me about Dana. So it's kind of fun how much they love their child. But Keith, Liz, you've been amazing ever since I've known you. She's got so much knowledge, and but your fellow there is pretty good at this too. You've came in with a whole I don't know how to say this. Your excellence, the way you really care about the people, and you just do such a good job. You're just an amazing person. You're such an asset to this county, and you've been a blessing to the District 1 office, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.